Hey guys, and welcome to We Weren't Friends in High School, the podcast where I reunite with high school classmates from my graduating class of Wissahickon High School in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm Brad Corbett, class of 2001. Happy President's Day, everyone. This week's guest, Amar Phanda, is a dual citizen, born in England, now also a citizen of the United States. For the past, I think, 8-9 years now. And we're going to hear his entire story of coming to the United States as a sophomore, not really having a place, but through soccer and just some other connections, was able to find himself in the popular crowd, one of the cool kids, as we're going to talk a lot about. And so it's a 3-hour conversation, but man, it's just a lot of fun. And real quick, We Weren't Friends in High School is available everywhere you subscribe to podcasts: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. Go get it, go grab it, subscribe. Makes it easier for you. Whenever podcasts are released, you get the update automatically. The social media is at We Weren't Friends in High School on Instagram, at WWFINHS on Twitter, and of course, I am at REDSHIRTPLAYA. Okay, without any further ado, Amar Phanda. So you were saying that people were saying that Wissahickon is weird to them.
Yeah, I just think that people, other people that see other people from Wissahickon, I think even if you just randomly are walking up and down the street, you still acknowledge each other. Like, I feel like it's very rare, and I'm sure it does happen because it happens with everybody. But, I've been with other people where they're like, oh, I went to school with that person, I don't want them to see me. Which I think was relevant when we had just got done college and people were coming back around home. Yeah. And they were like, there's nothing to talk about with somebody that you didn't talk to before. Whereas now, as you're older, I don't think you mind. Like, I don't think I've ever mind. I like going out. I like running into random people and we'll talk to anyone. Yeah. Don't really give a shit if they like me or not. I'm one of those type of people. Wow. I think that's because of how I grew up when I moved here. Like,
in what way?
I moved here in second semester freshman year, which was 98.
Okay.
Which is when I came from London. Didn't know anyone, obviously. I don't know if this is something you know, but I was supposed to be the year below. I wasn't even supposed to be all year.
So you're younger?
Yeah.
Okay.
So still a year younger than everybody, obviously. But because of the schooling I'd been through in London and the time I moved, they were like, oh, you're around the same curriculum or whatever, and we'll just put you in to 9th grade.
Yeah.
But obviously being second semester, once everybody's got into high school, people that have come from different schools have already had that semester to make friends and stuff, right? So people have formed their new crews and their cliques and whoever. And then obviously everyone from our area had already gone to like elementary school or played sports together or done whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I didn't get any of that. So when I came, I was, literally a lost soul.
Yeah.
Also moving from where I grew up in England to come to like Ambler, Bluebell, Lower Gwynedd in America, it was like a movie, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, all right, and not even that, but like,
what movie?
Like a dumb one. Like, like literally, it could be like a Nickelodeon show when they're walking through the hallway of high school, and you're just like, oh shit, this really is like this.
Because
like, there's no lockers in London schools. You don't have a locker. You don't have you walk with your bag around everywhere you go in. There's definitely no lockers. School's very different there. So those first 6 months, let's do it this way. Those first 6 months that I was here, didn't know anybody. I think my biggest struggle was, and I think it was the time and where I'd moved, being, I don't know, I'm Indian, but I'm from England, right? So people were definitely confused in that because at that time, I don't know how many Indian people we had even in the entire school. I don't know. And the ones we had in our grade, they didn't really talk to anybody. Like, they wouldn't even talk to me. Like, if they walked by me, there was definitely like, oh, he's definitely like different or whatever, which is fine. But then it was kind of the same. Like, I couldn't expect very preppy people from one section, right? So there was one part of the school you can say was like a preppier look to them. who already had their crew.
Mhm.
And then I guess we had, you know, you can call it what you want. You had our minority crews, and then you had your gothic crews at that point, and like all that sort of stuff. So it was just like, all right, where am I going? And who's going to end up talking to me? And then, I mean, that second semester of freshman year, I think the only people that really talked to me were like seniors that were way older than us. And they weren't talking to me. My name was England. Like I walked through the hallway and they were just like, England, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, hello. How you doing? I think like really, I mean, the first few people that I'd spoken to in that first semester that I was there would have been like Eric Nelson had come to me because I think he saw me kicking a soccer ball in the gym class. And he was like, oh shit, he's kind of good.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's good. And then he came and spoke to me. But like, I don't know, like people that are like my best friends now, like Brian Keenan. He's like my family, right?
Right.
But I had lunch with him and would sit at their table and he would like make me take his trash out and like stupid stuff like that. I mean, for 6 months, Brad, I literally, for half of it, well, I made my dad fly me home to London 6 times.
Wow.
Because I hated it. I hated my parents. I hated being here. Like this place wasn't for me. And then, yeah, I used to buy my lunch and go eat in the bathroom. I was like, all right, fuck this. Like, no one here's going to talk to me. I'm the weirdo. Fuck this. I'm out.
Wow.
So I used to do that. I did that pretty much for a year. My freshman experience was pretty much that. And then hit the summer. I went back to London, came back. And thank God soccer started and it was the fall. I showed up to tryouts and I guess they thought I was good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I was good, but people thought I must have been okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, that changed my entire life here.
Team sport, socializing with people on the team, give you an identity.
It brought me in and gave me a bit of identity, yeah. And that kind of opened me up into meeting like everybody, right? Because then people that played have friends, and then they have friends of friends. And then you're younger, right? So that's our sophomore year. And then you got older people being like, oh, there's this new guy I heard about him on the team, or like, he's your new friend, and this, that, and the other. And, you know, word goes around however it goes. And that's kind of how I met people, I should say.
You hit on so many different things. And I feel like I should have a pen to write this shit down. The first thing that you talked about was that I was just like, oh shit. When you talked about like people, seeing people like out when school first started, or school first ended, and even past, and kind of like wanting to run away and all that. That's crazy because that's exactly, I think, how I used to feel. If I were to see somebody, you know, at the Giant or the mall, or be like, oh God, let's go this way. Or,
I don't want to see them. Like, what am I going to say, or what am I going to do? Which I do. I mean, I know my own friends would do that. Like, oh, we don't want to go to that bar. Like, you turn 21, and they're like, no, we might run into these people, or that people. Whereas now, I think if you ask those exact same people, I don't know, Chris Gablis on your wall being like, we don't have reunions anymore, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's just exactly the same. Like, what's changed other than you just matured a bit and you're older and you kind of realize like we all came from the same sort of place in a way.
But I don't think anyone knows that anyone's matured.
No.
Right.
Which is fair. Right. Like, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah. And I think, you know, when I see the comments on Facebook with the episodes getting posted, and I see people now having conversations like on a regular basis, or now commenting on each other's walls outside of the podcast posts, I start to think like now people are actually having conversation with one another on a regular basis, which is kind of cool. I know Jason, who lives, you know, so far away from everyone, all of a sudden now is like, so many of the posts were like, wow, it's so great to hear from you. Great to hear from you. Glad you're doing, you know, people that he hasn't talked to in a really long time.
And I mean, I will say I'm lucky. Like I said, I fell into a group which I actually don't know how we were looked at in high school. Like, maybe that's something I can ask you, because I don't know what my group of boys were looked at like.
Well, you know what's funny is before you came over, where are those spiked, by the way? Can I have those spiked? We're having a spike seltzer.
We're gonna mix it with some vodka, I think.
We will. Oh, okay. So you wait. So you mix that together?
You do a little bit and a little bit.
A little bit and a little bit. I was wondering before you came over, I was like, well, he didn't even grow up here with everyone, and that's one of the things is I feel like when we all grew up, you're the kind of the same person. When you from a certain age, once people you get a reputation, stereotype, whatever, you get put into a bubble, and that's kind of who you are for however long. And so with like your friends that I kind of knew maybe from Shady Grove 5th grade, I think Nelson, Mailhorn, guys like that, I kind of knew Geber, probably Evan. I feel like we kind of already knew where our spaces were, and you came in and you fell into, I mean, you talk about a movie. You are the kid from another country who came to America and fell in with, you asked the perception, the quote unquote cool kids.
Right. And I laugh because
you rolled your eyes.
I'm always with them, and I'm still with them. Like we've all gone to school. We've moved to different places. We're still always together. We are in the same group chat every day. Mm-hmm. We're still talking shit on each other every 2 minutes. Like they all have kids now. Like, I mean, I do love it. And this is where I say how I'm very lucky because like I said, I did move here. I didn't know what was going to happen, right? And I didn't know. I fell into a great group of people, and I can understand the persona being the cool kids, but like, I mean, I sit with them guys still, and I'm like, what the hell? What were we cool? We weren't doing anything any different. Like, we're a bunch of losers. We did the same thing every weekend. Right. Oh yeah, we had a party. Was it a party? It was the same 10 people, 15 people at my house or at Geber's house, in the basement getting hammered. I was like, I mean, other people may be doing it or may not be doing it, but this is what makes us cool. I guess. I don't know.
I think, since I've been doing the podcast, my perception has changed so much as far as what people are doing. When I start finding out, like, well, it's not that you guys were having parties, right? Because everyone was having parties.
That's what I mean.
Oh, not everyone. A lot of people.
A lot
of people. And essentially, probably mostly the people that wanted to party were having parties,
right.
And
even in their own way, though. It doesn't have to be like a party. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could always be, like, what's the difference between if you only had, like, 4 people and you were doing your thing? And I'm saying this now, right, as we're older. Mm-hmm. Back then, it definitely wasn't like this. Yeah. Like, if you were just 4 people and you went out and did your own thing, and there was 25 people going to my basement to get hammered and have, like, a party or whatever, of course the perception is going to be different because we're a bunch of dicks back then who think we all know everything at that time. Like, and you haven't got time of day for anybody that's not running in your circle.
Well, you know what though? Like I've talked to before you now. I've now talked to someone. I've talked to a Korean kid who has said that they had a crew of Koreans that would party, every night, whatever, every day, weekends. Someone who was I would consider highly academic. Who said that he would party, every weekend with other academic. Right. So it's like, but did I sit and say, boy, Ryan Dunn's so popular. Right. Ryan Dunn's part of that popular crew because him and Rishi and Andrew Godey are probably drinking beers right now. Right. You know what I mean? Right.
No, I understand.
But for some reason, your crew would probably garner more of that. Reputation.
Like I said, I don't like that it's like that or was like that. But it's understandable. I mean, I saw who I fell into and who I was going out with and like the girl groups that were there and where they lived and like all of that kind of stuff.
I think that's a big part of it, right? The people who want to hang out with girls. Yeah. It's like, or the girls that get the attention are the ones that are hanging out in your groups.
Yeah. I mean, when I got here, I was like, wait, they're not going to talk to me anyway. So why am I even around them? Like,
no, you were probably like an exotic.
Nah, I was definitely not exotic. I was definitely still the weird kid. They were really like, why is he here with us? Like, yeah, it took a while.
Let's go back because I have a couple questions. How hard is the R in your name? Is it at all?
So really, my name's Amar. So there is a R at the end.
Amar.
Yeah. But like, it's just easier to say Amar. Like if you just do UMA.
Yeah.
And it's the way I told everybody, I think, since I first met him at Wisik. And anywhere else I've gone now.
Yeah.
Work, college. But yeah, people, I mean, when people read my name, obviously they're like, Amar.
Yeah,
and it blows my, like, I hate it, but it's understandable.
You don't get Amar?
Very.
Like the Omar version of.
I do sometimes. And then like in London, nobody could say my name or unless you were like my family.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to school, it was Amar. Like that's why I got caught for 14 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's Amar, but the R is, I don't even think I pronounce the R when I say my name.
I feel like I always just kind of do a lazy like Amma, and I just let it go off from there. Yeah,
let it roll. Yeah.
Also, because I'm usually always drunk when I see you, it's the middle of the night, and I just throw my hands up and scream. And then your last name is the H. I've never used your last name, so is it Phanda or Panda? Phanda. It's Phanda.
But you'll get
that's so great for Philly.
You'll get tons of people saying Panda.
Yeah, really,
like all the time. Yeah. And I literally like, so do you say phone, or is it like?
I don't know. It's Indian and British.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry I did that Southern.
People definitely. There's a lot of Panda, a lot.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you moved here in 9th grade, which would put you 14? Or no, you would have been a year younger, so you were probably like 13?
I had just turned 14.
Just turned 14.
Because we start, I don't know what, second week of January or something.
Yeah.
My birthday's that first week of Jan. So I'd literally just turned 14.
So you moved here with your family to Bluebell?
So we moved to Lower Gwynedd in Gwynedd.
Okay.
What
brought you guys
My
here?
dad transferred for work. So he works at Unisys. That was
right on Union Road.
Bluebell.
Yeah.
That's the head campus of the world for them. So he had transferred here. We moved into Gwynedd, and we were only supposed to be here for 3 years. Because it was a 3-year contract for him at that time. So we actually rented a house in Gwynedd, which happened to be across the street from the Stampones.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of Pete picked me up, basically. Me and my brother were in the front yard playing soccer, and then Pete had just come over and said, "Oh, you're the new neighbor and whatnot," and we kind of hit it off. He was playing soccer too, so that helped. And then I guess our parents just worked out a way for them to carpool. One would take us in the morning, one would get us in the afternoon. And yeah, me and him just kind of hit it off, and then learned to know that he was involved with a lot of people.
Right.
He was definitely one of the popular guys. Like I could see that from like right when I met him. And then I went in to meet the McQuaids and the Kevin Rogerses, the Garretts, the Nelsons, the Keenans. Like I said, still rolling with them boys today.
You had mentioned that it was tough in the first like 6 months, kind of like the first year. Then, so were you friends with Pete?
In those first 6 months?
Yeah. No. Okay. No. So what were you doing? Like, I guess, what was your impression? First of all, so I guess it's a 2-part question, because you said it was like a movie. You walked in, like there's these lockers. I imagine like, because you're seeing people hang out. It's super social around the lockers, right?
And everything was like, even the house we moved into, like that was just nothing.
One of those cookie cutter kind of big.
It was like we were renting this house, had a pool in the back. Like honestly, the thing I could remember vividly still to this day is when we moved. My parents were still they travel a lot for work, so they weren't there. So I'd have my brother, my sister, and it would be me in this house. And all I would think of was Scream. That would be the only thing in my head. I'm like, shit, what the fuck am I gonna do if something happens here? Because this is a big ass house. There's a pool in the back.
That's great.
And there's no lights in the suburbs here. Like everything's dark. Yeah. And that was the thing that came to my head. It was like Scream, and then we go to high school on the bus and like all this shit. And I'm like,
how did you go to school in London?
Public transport.
Oh,
I'd take a train or a bus or however I could get there.
So did you know anything about when you were in London? And you're, at that point you're kind of old enough to have like real consciousness and opinions, even if they're wrong or uneducated. And then you said you felt like it was like a movie. So I guess like TV movies. That was your experience with America. Up to that point?
I'd been here.
You had been here prior to.
Oh yeah, here. We used to come to the US. I think from when I was 10, every year we would go to like Disney.
Okay.
I mean, my parents took us to Disney when I was 10. I remember that first time. And then, yeah, we did a lot of Florida, California, San Francisco. Like, I was lucky enough that, yeah, once they were like working and traveling a bit for work, like they would just tag us along with them.
Never Philly though.
I came to Philly with my mom myself, and I stayed in the Marriott in Conshohocken, which I still remember. I came by myself just with her. She was working. So the amount of Philly I saw would be the McDonald's across the street from that Conshohocken.
The one right off of like 76.
Yeah,
476.
The McDonald's and the Marriott. That was my Philadelphia. Yeah. That was it. And then they drove me by Unisys for Blue Bar, and that was kind of it. So that was my real early experience in Philadelphia before I got here.
Were you a sports fan? American sports fan in England?
American sports fan in England, really. I mean, we knew who Michael Jordan was. You knew who Shaq was. You knew who the Yankees were. Like, people wear Yankees hats. Do they watch the baseball? No.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, I'm a soccer like freak. You know that. Like, and then I'm not anymore. Now I'm like a crazy diehard Philadelphia person.
Right. So you had no impression of Philadelphia when you moved here.
No, I didn't. I literally didn't know anything, and then I didn't even really know what Philly was because I moved into Gwinnett Knoll.
Right. Are they telling you we're moving to Gwinnett Knoll or we're moving to Lower Gwinnett, and that's where you think you have no context?
Like I said, my life completely changed. Like, it went from like walking up steps where my feet didn't fit on the steps to coming here where I can put my whole body on the step. Like, you know what I mean? It was just it was a different area. And it was a culture shock, but it wasn't. And I think it was a reverse culture shock because where I grew up was very diverse and a lot of minorities. And then I went to school with a lot of black kids, but like a lot of mixed people, right, from all over the place. Whereas I came here, I think the first thing I noticed the most was it's very predominantly white, upper class. That was where the shock came in. It was very different. Kind of like I make fun of it now. I'm like, and I say it because it's my boys. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't the prep boy starter kit where they had the khakis, the brown boots, and then Nautica sweater. Like, that just wasn't how I was dressing even when I came here.
Yeah. How were you dressing?
I was dressing very loud. So I had a big puff yellow jacket.
Like a down jacket?
Down jacket. I was wearing purple Yves Saint Laurent jeans.
So was it like hip hop or what was your?
No, it was just, I think like London has it was definitely way advanced than here back then. But like if you go to London and you go shopping to any mall, there's like designer clothing everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's not just in one section. It's literally everywhere in any store. So it's kind of like the norm. And like, it's not certain things. It's not like price wise in a sense. Like Yves Saint Laurent in '98, if you went to London, they have like outlets for them. It would be like going to the outlets here for like Polo,
right?
Where you're picking up t-shirts for like $10-12, right? So that's what we were doing. So, but then coming here, it's like, oh shit, he's wearing like a Versace thing. I'm like, it was like $30. Like it wasn't. And then now I'm here and I'm like, shit, that thing is like, they want $800 for a t-shirt, right? Like, and people always say, why do you go to London if you shop? And I'm like, well, they do outlets and that kind of stuff there. And that's kind of where I think I've always kept my style to myself in the sense of like, I've kept it on the European side. Like I've always dressed how I grew up dressing in a way. I never really changed that sense.
Yeah. So this is it. This is
kind of it. And I know I did influence people like Chris Gabbard. Again, started hanging out with Pete. Pete's introducing me to people. I was with Pete. Gabbard had called him up and been like, and yeah, Chris, I am throwing you under the bus because you deserve every bit of it. And I told him I was going to do it. Calls Pete. Oh, we're going to my country club to hang out by the pool. You know, you want to come? And Pete's like, yeah, Amar's with me. And Gabbard's like, oh, all right, like, what's he wearing though? And Pete's like, tells him and he's like, all right, this will work. Gabbard now is the one trying to go through my closet, trying to take my clothes, asking me, where did I get that? How can he get it? Like I don't know how
wearing?
I don't know how much stuff he's taken out my closet and like taken. He's like, I'm rocking this now. This is mine.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how it comes like full circle.
That's so funny. So something like that is exactly what I would think would be my problem, because I didn't have like a cool sense of dressing. Right. My mom helped me buy my clothes, or would just buy my clothes. It wasn't like had no sense of style. And so someone like, I would be afraid to try to hang out with, because I knew that like I wouldn't pass the standard for dress even.
Yeah. I mean, but then it also went the other way, right? Because like I was dressing like I would do, but I didn't fit in with how everybody around me was. I wasn't that confident that not those first 2 years at least.
Let me ask you, so while you're kind of like, you're eating in the bathroom, and you don't really have any friends, and you're looking around and you're seeing groups, and do you remember like then who you wanted to hang out with, who you were hoping to fit in with, where you thought maybe you could belong? Or
I didn't know where I would belong. I think that I definitely didn't know that. I knew who I thought I wanted to be friends with, or the people I would look at. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, it was the group I fell into.
Okay.
Because I saw, I mean, I think as a person, you kind of attract to someone you feel like you're going to have something in common with, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I did or I didn't, but I think it's kind of how you said it. They were the popular group. Let's just put it as it is. You saw the popular people of our age, or quote unquote unpopular people. Yeah. And that's what I looked at. They were popular because they had a big group that were tight. That's what gave them the popular bit, because it was a big group.
25 to 30 kids, deep, interchangeable.
And they were always, right. And you would hear them come back from a weekend and be like, oh, didn't you have fun at this place there?
Yes.
So did I see where I wanted to put myself? I think so.
Yeah.
I can't like consciously be like, that was, because I still spoke to people. They were just, they had no time for me at all.
That crew.
That's flat out no.
Yeah.
And I still rip my boys about that. I'm like, where would you be now? Like, what are you doing? After from junior year through to, I don't know, now, even now when we go home, you're still partying in my parents' house. Like,
right.
But it is. And I'm like, and for me personally, having like no other family here, right? Like none. Got my brother, my sister, my parents. What made it more difficult for me was not having anybody else. But then when I did become friends with them, like they are my family. Like I consider every single one of them my family.
Yeah.
Like even like all of them with their kids now, I still go to their houses. They're all like run up like, Uncle Amar, and like I'm just like, oh shit, how did I get here? Yeah. But like I love it, like I do, and they know like they can call me and I'll be there in a heartbeat for any of them.
Yeah.
But just looking back, like that journey to where we are now, and like I said, I'm very lucky in the sense we all still talk, and like holidays are coming now. We're already planning something, like a Friendsgiving, obviously for all of us to go out and like for dinner and stuff. But we still get together, and
you guys are one of the, I see, you're one of the crews I definitely see with, you, Gabber, Nelson, Andy Black.
Yeah.
Between here and New York. Sometimes I'm surprised when I see you.
Right, because I know the last time you were like, oh, where are you? Are you in New York? I'm like, nah, man, it's been like 5 years. I'm back.
I was telling someone today, I said, I see him like sometimes like in the city, but then the very next day he'll be in London. And I don't, sometimes I'm not quite sure where he lives.
No, we've, and I think that's a good thing. Like, I moved around, and then we,
cultured.
We felt it was important. I think we grew a bond tight enough that we all thought it was very important to stay in each other's lives, right?
Yeah.
And everybody moves around. Like, I see some people more than I see others, right? I see Gabber and talk to Nelson a lot more. Kevin Rogers, I'm with him all the time. He's right here.
I see him quite often. I'm not quite sure where he lives, but
he's actually in South Philly too. He's
see that
he's here. Like, I forget his street, but him and his wife bought a house down here.
Okay.
They've been there at this house for like 2 years.
Okay.
But he's been in the city for like a while.
Yeah, I would run into Phillies games and random.
And then like Andy Black's down in Florida. Still talk to him all the time. McQuaid's
Hawaii.
He's in the Marines. He actually just moved from Hawaii to San Diego.
Oh.
But I went and
Rough
saw.
life.
I know, right? I went and saw him in Hawaii last year.
Okay.
And then the rest of the guys over here, like the Cassidys, Keenans. Obviously Evan passed away.
Yeah.
2 years ago now.
About that, yeah.
We actually just got together, like whoever could. His sister reached out and wanted to get together for a drink on his birthday. So we just went to PJ's and Blue Ball and,
That's cool.
talked it up and talked some shit and, that kind of stuff. I mean, it is, like I said, and I still run into like tons of people from school, just randomly, like of all ages. Like, I think a lot of our group away from even our year was like the group of girls in the year below us, like the Rachel Weisses, Steph Berkey's, Heather Becks, Jenna Hilton. But then even like the Jeans, the Eric Coxons, like when I run into them, like, we weren't hanging out in high school and like best friends, but like, and they're not calling me for a drink on the weekend and I'm not calling them. But like, if we see each other at the bar, we'll spend a bit of time to at least say, yo, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, which I feel a lot of people don't do. And that goes back to a Wes Aiken thing. I do feel like if you notice them and you're at the same place, you kind of do. And you're like, yo, what's up? How's it going? Even if it's just that, like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of acknowledgement for someone that you do know.
Right.
They're just not your friend.
Yes.
And it's funny because like, all right, I'm dating a girl now who is from like upstate New York. Doesn't have the high school kind of thing we all had, or in a big school, right? Came from a smaller school, doesn't have like high school friends now. Like they're all college friends or work friends or new friends.
Right.
And she's like, everybody's your friend. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe I use the term friend loosely. But like I get it. They're not my friend, but like, how else do you want me to explain them?
Yeah.
Explain to you who they are.
Yeah.
Like, who's that? I mean, that's my friend. He went to high school with me. But like, I know I do. I use it loosely.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing about this podcast is like, because we weren't friends, because we didn't have a problem. We weren't enemies. But like, it's something that I think I go back to, like, my dad used to say something like that. It fucked with my head where I'd say like, oh, that's my friend. It's like, oh, do you hang out with him, or like, do you have his phone number? Something like that. And it's like, well, no. And he's like, well, he's not your friend then.
Right.
Make sure you know who your real friends are. That's an acquaintance. And that's something that always, I think, stuck with me. Maybe unfortunately even, but.
I mean, I think, like I said, I use friend loosely. I think you just have to know inside yourself.
Yeah.
Where your friends lie and who they are.
Yeah.
And what type of friend. Like, it's a friend. Like, I mean, you're my friend.
Yes.
I wouldn't see you on the street and be like, oh, that's a dude that went to high school with me and he was there and I was here.
Right.
I'd be like, no, that's my boy Brad. Like, yeah.
Now, see, I remember when you came.
I still remember you. Because I did even think about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, like, did we ever like hang out? I was like, no, but I know we didn't. I know. But I do remember being in school.
Yeah. So here's what I remember with you was chorus. We had chorus together, right? Yep. You know where this is going?
Yep.
Yeah. And you introduced me to Hubba Bubba.
Yep.
And this is before, importing, exporting, goods from other countries and candies and things was a thing. And so it wasn't like you just get Hubba Bubba at 7-Eleven. Right. And you had Hubba Bubba. And I was so into the fact that this new kid was sharing his Hubba Bubba with me. I'm like, and I was trying to do the British accent. Yeah. And I'm like,
I got a lot of that.
Hubba Bubba. Yeah. It was like terrible. It's still terrible. And yeah, that's what I remember when I first met you, which is, I think, what kind of led to, I said it in my conversation with Kim when she was asking about Meredith, and I can't remember her last name, but curly hair.
Yep.
And
I want to say it begins with an F.
It sounds right. She asked, like, was I friends with her? And I said, not. I thought maybe we were like becoming friends, but then I felt like once she kind of like started becoming friends with other people, I couldn't like go into that crew.
Right.
And it's different, I think, when you're trying to become friends with a girl versus like you're friendly with a guy. But I always felt like I was always friendly with you. And that always, like, anytime I'd see you, contrary to like, you know, what we were talking about earlier, when you'd see someone, you kind of maybe want to, when I'd see you, I knew it would be all love. It's always been great with you. You know, when I see you, and I see you probably more frequently than anyone else from school.
Just kind of, or is that bad?
No,
I'm messing around. I'm messing around.
No, I just kind of always see you in a fun atmosphere somewhere around town.
I know. I just don't know if that gives the wrong perception sometimes. This guy's always partying. He's always somewhere. As
am I.
It's it's a good thing. And like the guys and the friends that have all stayed in touch.
Yeah,
I do. I think it's pretty special. Like it doesn't. I don't think that happens in too many places. So
no, I think with Facebook now, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
You just never know how real it is. So it's cool to hear that you see you guys together. It's not just posting.
I mean, it's obviously tough,
and you travel a lot to do it.
Yeah.
So
and they have kids and they have their own lives and all that stuff. I understand that.
Yeah.
And then they don't understand why I'm still the way I am. And I mean, no, like I said, I do. I love that. And I don't actually mind taking my time to go and see them.
Yeah.
I still wish they would come and hang out in the city every now and then, but
you were talking about that too. And I was laughing. So when we were in the kitchen, you're kind of like explaining, like, you know, you're here and it's like, oh, I want to bring people into the city, and it's like, oh, they're out in this place or in that place. And it's the exact same thing with me. I have like 2 friends that live here,
right,
and the rest of them all live out in the suburbs. And it's like, why'd you guys come out here? And it's like, you know, where am I going to park? And
and I'm just like, well, you can get an Uber. And it's like, but then I got to pay for the Uber, and then I got to pay for my babysitter. And I'm like, yeah, I understand it. But if I come home, you're doing the same thing. You still have to pay for your babysitter.
Yes.
You're still probably going to Uber out because we're going to be drinking. And
I just absolutely won't go. I won't. I try to go as I work out there, as like you travel out there for work too. But like I won't. If I try to never ever go. It's got to be a family function or someone's birthday,
right, like an occasion,
or a holiday thing. But like, I just won't go on a Friday night and stay in the suburbs.
I mean, I still don't mind. Like I said, I mean, I hang out with Gabbert quite a bit every now and then. Like I'll hit happy hour with him, or just like a Friday night at his house.
You're a better friend than I am.
But for the most part, yeah, I'm here. I mean, I think. I mean, he probably hates it, but he's like, oh, you're not doing anything tonight? You'll come and sit at my house? I'm like, well, you want to hang out with me or not? Because this is the only way it's happening, because you ain't going to come out with me.
So my thing with being out here is I always say, you know, I don't like the idea of being in the burbs and having a Friday night where I'm doing nothing and there's just nothing happening around me.
Right. You don't have any options.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget it's not the weekend. Like I could be just sitting here watching TV. It could be loud outside. The restaurant's open. There's just stuff going on. And I go, oh, it's not Friday. This is like a Tuesday or Wednesday, or there's always things going on around. And that's what I really, really enjoy. And I sometimes need living here in the city that I can't get.
You can't get there
in the suburbs. Yeah.
I think that's, definitely. Like I mean, I think also from where I grew up to then growing up in the burbs here through school and stuff, and then different cities, like the New York life I did for a couple of years, and then coming back to Philly. I mean, I'm a city person. Like I think I always have been. I get bored of the suburbs. It's slow. Yeah. Like you can only go to the same 2 bars over and over again, right?
PJs. And,
I mean, I mean, I'm trying to think of what else.
When coming from England, kind of getting associated with American friends, what was that like learning about, like what was your social life, you know, being 13, 12, the things that you would maybe do, or the things that you knew that, you know, older people maybe did as teenagers in England, and now you're kind of starting to grow up into that. And I imagine that kind of is different than what you have no expectation almost now of American teenage life.
Yeah. It was very different. I think the biggest difference is drinking over there isn't a big deal. So like, even, I mean, I think I had my first drink when I was 11, and then kind of like drank a little bit throughout until I came here. Like I wasn't sitting there every weekend getting hammered, because it just wasn't what you kind of do.
Yeah.
It was definitely different. So like, I mean, to be honest, all I really did from over there on the weekends was play soccer. Like I play soccer 24/7. Went to school, got done school, play soccer on the street, then go to the park with 20 other people. We play pickup all night, come home, go to school, and then obviously I practice on my club team, and then on the weekends I had games. That would be it.
Full schedule.
That was kind of it. Like, and then, but my parents was like, kind of filtered me into drinking just so I could hold my own in a way and not completely lose my shit. So then when I came here, especially at like 14, 15, everything's just based on drinking, smoking.
Yeah.
Which I definitely wasn't used to in like the amounts of it was being done. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, obviously, I mean,
the activity is drinking.
I mean, now I do it every weekend. I'm like, let's go get hammered. But
the activity is drinking, not drinking with your activity.
Right. It's like drink and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of the other way around it. And yeah, I will say, I think that definitely did change here, where I went from, I think it's also different. Like, yeah, I love soccer. Like, I mean, I didn't ever care about school. It was like, you're going to be a pro soccer player, right? Like, you had that dream, and that was kind of it.
Wow, really?
And like, I mean, in London, I did have tryouts for professional teams, and had like scouts come and look at me. When I was like, I was 11 and 12.
Is that common?
Yeah. So you would get taken into an academy, and then they filter you through, and you can get. That's how they do it there. There's not like college ball where you're going to go to college and you get drafted.
Right.
You get picked up as a kid.
Like baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball, you can go in as a high schooler.
They'll filter you through their own academy and do it that kind of way. And really, that kind of happened literally right when my dad got told we were going to move here. And he was willing to leave me at home. But basically, we played in this game. They were interested, spoke to my parents, and then kind of went to them like, yeah, we're a bit iffy on him because Indian parents don't support their kids in sports. So then my dad was just kind of like, all right, fuck you. I'm done with you. And then that was kind of it, really. And then he was picked up and we moved. Back then, hated him, right? Didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
It is literally the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was come and live here. Like, without a doubt. I've met the best people in my life. I've made the best relationships. And I've had like the best opportunities that you can get, right? So, but back to like the school, like the social aspect. Yeah, I think the biggest thing was definitely, how I just drinking so big. You can't drink. You're not allowed to drink. Like this whole not 21 thing, which then also, I guess, kind of helped my social life because my parents were always very open with it, right? So people were allowed to come to my house and drink. My parents would just take the keys. You're staying here. You're not going anywhere. You have to tell your parents that you're here because they know you're out drinking. So at least they know that you're somewhere safe and that kind of thing. And that's kind of how we rolled. And you can say we had parties, but like I said, it was the same groups. I mean, the most drama we had, or I think I ever had really in high school, like after, my 6 months of being miserable and that kind of stuff. The most drama would have been like people asking me to come to my house. And I'm just like, I like to, and it's, I guess, looking.
So you play a little bit of gatekeeper.
I mean, I guess I look back and think of like.
Wait a minute. This is so interesting. Because like 15 minutes ago, you were like, and I was like, cool kids.
I'm open to talk to anybody. No, I know.
And you were like, oh, cool kids. I don't even know. But now you're saying.
No, I am.
The craziest thing going on in your life was who you could invite.
Well, no, it's saying no to people, I feel, right?
Because fucking losers want to come hang out with you.
Because it's somewhere to go.
And you can't understand why people wanted to hang out.
No, they wanted to come somewhere where you
were like Yeezys. You were like the Yeezys of basement parties. Like
it was
there's only like room for 60 of us.
Well, no, I think the other thing was, I mean, the days that like the days where I was throwing a party when my parents were traveling and there was no one around, they were a little bit more open. Like those would be, if you came and, I mean, I didn't have any control. I was like a scrawny little kid back then. It would be one of the other guys that would be like, you ain't coming in. But people used to pull up to my house all the time. And I just basically sent Evan and Bill out. Like, yo, Evan, just tell them they can't. I mean, do you want them in here? If you don't, then just tell them now.
Yeah.
when my parents were there and they were like, then it did stick to the people they knew because then they're comfortable, right?
Right.
I mean,
and they know the parents and
right. So
kind of go by the rules.
That was a
and-
different thing.
So let me ask you. Okay, so where in England were you?
West London.
Where?
West London.
West London. Okay.
Yeah.
So in West London, played soccer all the time. Now you're kind of, what was that your expectation growing up prior to moving, that you were just going to be an athlete, soccer player, or what was teenage life like in London?
Yeah. I mean, where I grew up, yeah, that was kind of the only thing I'd ever thought about.
Just going to be going for soccer. You're kind of already
I never
being
really
scouted,
liked or enjoyed school. I wasn't bad at it.
Mhm.
I just was lazy. So I didn't put myself
Yeah.
forward as much as I could have. That's kind of what every teacher has said to me my entire life. Like,
You're
you could
lazy.
have done so much more, but you're so lazy. And it's just like, yeah, but I just don't enjoy it. Like, I don't like it. And then it was, I mean, obviously you get older and like you hit a bit of reality and you're like, I'm not going to be a pro. I mean, I went and played in college. I did all of that.
Mhm.
I loved it. And then blew out my knees and shit starts happening.
Mhm.
And then you get old and I'm just like we still try and play
Hell
pickup
yeah.
around here. And it's
Hell
just like,
yeah.
I'm more miserable playing pickup ball at Penn
Mhm.
than not, right? It's like, oh, we all signed up, we're so hyped to play. And then the Tuesday night rolls around, it's like, fuck, I have a game. Like, I don't want to go. But yeah, expectation of me as a kid, 100%. It was like, I'm gonna make it. Like, that was just it. That was the only thing that was ever in my head.
When you came here, and I feel like the soccer boom kind of didn't come until, I don't know, maybe like Beckham was a thing.
It was definitely a lot
and,
later, yeah. It wasn't like all high school years.
Were you disappointed in the, soccer? You guys were a great soccer team. As I recall, like you guys won championships, I believe. And were you disappointed in the lack of attention that soccer got in America?
I would say yes. Even up until like our senior year, going to college and stuff, like Coach Malcolm, he's from England. He was from England. He's an English guy. He's from there. I don't think we're taking at some actually really good talent from people above us all year, and then definitely a lot more talent younger than us because the game's progressed here since us. But like, I feel Wissahickon hasn't pushed any soccer players through to where they should be. I was disappointed. I think also coming here, I don't think my parents knew the right club teams to place me in at the level I was at that point. So I definitely think that kind of held me back a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm still not saying I was the greatest player ever or anything like that, but it was stuff that I'd noticed just like when I'd got here, my level it was my only sport, right? You got to remember that. Like,
right.
that's all we do over there. So yeah, when I came to play club teams, I actually played out in Upper Dublin. So it was no Wissahickon kids at all. They were all actually Upper Dublin kids.
Was that a better team?
No, it was just the first team my parents found out about that was like, they didn't know about like the Whip Pains and them.
Right.
Just the Upper Dublin thing happened to come up.
Rec leagues and whatnot.
Right. So they kind of just were like, we need to get him doing something because he hates being here. So let's put him on this team. But you could tell a big difference in like the levels. It definitely helped me meet a lot more people. And even like going forward, like playing at university and then meeting other coaches and that kind of stuff, it definitely exposed me to a lot more people.
Yeah.
So back to when everyone's like, oh, you have a lot of friends. It's like, again, they're not friends, but yeah, I was lucky enough to be exposed to a lot of different avenues through a sport.
My 20s were a lot like that. Mid to post college, early adulthood was like that, where I just experienced a lot of things, met a lot of people, and now it seems as if I said on one podcast, I think it was the last one, just came out with Kim, that sometimes I have too many friends. I know exactly what you mean. Right. Like I call, a million people that I know, and I have varying levels of.
Say your friend.
Yes. Yeah. So besides drinking, what was first of all, how good was it being in the cool kid crew once you got in there?
It was hard, to be honest. Like,
really?
Like I said at the beginning, I think it was. So I won the guys over, but then, like I said, the girls were still a little skeptical of who I was, why I was now with them.
So I want to. I want to ask like very specifically this style question. Was it like, were you like, okay, now I'm kind of hanging with some of these guys, and now it's like you've seen the girls, right?
No, you know what my thoughts were. You seen them too.
Yeah. Are you? But about right? Are you just like? Are you like? And this sounds so goofy, but this is this is very super badish, right?
Yeah.
Was it like, all right, like I've seen him in the halls, like I'm ready to hang out, I'm ready to party. Like, were you beyond ecstatic?
Yeah,
for
yeah,
this?
100%. It was a new life. Like, yes, I was like a little kid in a candy shop. Like, oh shit, I'm with them now. I have like this. Again, it's 14, 15, 16 years old. I'm like I look back at it now. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Not saying they're still my people, right?
Right.
So, but I'm saying in the mentality of me going into that, now I would say is the wrong mentality.
Sure.
But back then I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, let's go.
Yeah. That's so great.
And let's see where it goes. I mean, yeah. And it's funny because they're great people. Like the Colleen Farrells and like they're not bad people. They didn't do anything wrong to anybody else. They just kind of were looked upon that way because of whatever the closeness they had. And they were all athletes and they all played sports. And they were really smart too. So
Yeah. I've talked to some people who were kind of in that, similar space, and I've learned like that's not what it was. It wasn't always roses, but, great family, two parents, middle to upper class, gets a car when they're 16. And then expectations of lives in like an estate, property, community, and then expectations of going to college. And a lot of them did with scholarships, top athletes, academic, student government, all those things. Did you feel a pressure to kind of live up to what they were doing?
yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, yeah, with as simple as I can put it, the answer is yes. Because again, I say I thought I didn't. I put myself out there to get into that group. But then, like I said, I wasn't. Well, actually, let me take back. It was actually another thing that was shocking when I moved here, which took me a long time to figure out. Took my parents a long time to figure out. Was so those first 6 months kind of were like, all right, I'm getting used to everything, right? What we had said in freshman year. Then the sophomore year, I'm now hanging out and that kind of stuff. But now I'm really sort of paying attention to the report cards that coming home. So my parents, because they're like, this is where we are. Get your shit together. You ain't going anywhere. So start living like a normal person.
Because you wanted to go back home, right? And you were taking a lot of trips back.
Now you're living like a normal life. This is where you are. Start doing your schoolwork, that kind of shit. But I would come home, and obviously this ain't great, but I don't know. I'd get like a 68 on a test or something, and it'd be a D. Or I'd get a 73 and it'd be a C. Or I'd get a 64 and it's an F, right? And I'd be bringing them home, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Because like a 64 in England is a C+.
Oh.
So, and
is this a metric system thing?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I still don't know what the grading scheme is over there. But even so, my parents had to come and were like, can someone tell me what this kid's supposed to get a certain grade? And they told that. And so like basically my sophomore year was like a wash because my grades was like shot to the ground.
Yeah.
And it did. It took me a year to like get used to actually like the schoolwork and the testing. Because again, high school, England, you start high school at 11.
Wow.
And
so it's like a 7-year.
Well, no. So you do high school from 11 to 16. Then you take basically like your SATs at 16, kind of. And then you'll do a 2-year junior college.
Right, college, and then university.
And then you'll go to university.
Right.
But from that 11 to 16, you still have like recess and like an hour for lunch and stuff. So that was the other thing here. Like when I first got, I was like, yo, when do we go outside? Like, what outside? You ain't going outside? Wow. And then what do we get? Like 25 minutes for lunch in the cafeteria?
Yeah.
If that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had like an hour for lunch. So you ate for like your 10 minutes, or you spent your lunch however you wanted. Or you go out, and again, we would be playing soccer every recess. You had that 10:30 a.m. recess for half an hour. Everybody's out there kicking the ball around. Then you did the hour for lunch. So you literally would eat lunch. Like the guys, we'd go in for 5 minutes, eat, and be like, we got a game to play. Let's go. And this is high school. So that adjustment of the grading system threw me off, which made me not like it even more, right? Then I'm like, oh shit. Now I already said to you, I'm lazy. I was lazy at school. I didn't really apply myself. So then it was like, oh, now I have to apply myself. But then I was in a group, like you just said, where everybody is expected to go to school, is going to school, that sort of stuff. So yeah, of course I didn't want to be the one that wasn't doing it, right? But yeah, I took a different route. I mean, I went to Monaco with Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, I got accepted. I had like a partial scholarship to Widener right from senior year, like right out, and I decided not to go there. I just didn't think the program was that great as far as soccer was concerned at that point. And I think that I did a year and a half Monaco, and I think that helped me even more to like actually prepare me.
Yeah.
I think, I kind of like, you did that whole senior year of really doing nothing. And I probably wasn't ready to go to school at that point. So I think at that point I'd made the right choice.
Yeah.
And did it that way, and then went to Westchester and literally lived it up and loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I was the first person in my entire family to ever go to school. Like that's something
Really?
that no one ever did. Yeah, none of my parents ever went, no family member at all. And again, where we grew up there, you were saying like the difference with like growing up.
Yeah.
A lot of those kids, they didn't play sports on the weekends. They were working, like from like 13 years old. Because I think out of a group of 20 of my friends from England, of all ages, because our age wasn't a thing over there. Like we would be on the streets with like 6-year-olds to 17-year-olds all in one group. But I think let's say out of 20 people, maybe take away myself and my brother, 4 of them went to university. Everybody else got done high school and just went straight to work.
Wow.
So
what was it like learning American history from an American perspective?
So I missed that because you guys did that in 8th grade, I think.
Okay.
Because when I got here, they were doing the French Revolution. I was like, I just did this a minute before I got here.
Was it in history in general, perspective wise? I think the perspective I always have is that we dumb it down, or it's
all I know about American history is from you guys telling me you beat the shit out of us, and that was it. No, I as far as American history in that sense is, because I did miss that because it was right before I got here.
Yeah.
I didn't really know too much because I never got to that over there yet, because that would have come later because you'll do European history, and then you'll move on to American history. And I had to go back home to my mom and just be like, yo, what the hell is everybody doing? Because all I keep hearing is, we beat you. I'm like,
yeah.
So for that part of it, it didn't really mean anything to me. Because why? I had nothing to relate to it for, and I didn't really care.
Yeah.
Like,
you didn't care at all?
I mean, American history at that point to me meant nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't know why it would ever have to. I was still in the mood. I was going home, right? I wasn't staying here. And then, yeah, I guess, I mean, obviously now I learned about it and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You don't have like dual citizenship or anything, do you?
I do.
You do? You did it.
I've been a dual citizen now for 8 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Had to pass the test, so I had to learn some history.
Yes, yeah.
I bet you a lot of people won't be able to. I know my boys can't pass that test.
That's the funny thing is they always say that immigrants who become citizens here know way more about American history, civics than anyone, the majority of Americans.
Except for me, I stuck to myself and learned what I needed to for the test, and then I forgot all of it.
Did you ever like date in high school or?
No. So all right. So I fell into the group. I think like a lot of those guys and girls dated each other here and there, and I never really dated in high school. Actually, no. I mean, sounds dumb. Yeah, weekends, parties at my house, hook up with somebody, basically your friend.
Yeah.
That was it. And then you go back the next day, and it's like, yeah, we're cool. Like, but no, never. There was never a girlfriend in high school. That wasn't like by choice for me or them. Like I think that was where the difference came in, or me, they may never even think, this is my personal feeling was where I'm saying, maybe it was me that was uncomfortable, like trying to pursue like an actual relationship that way. Because like I said, I still thought I was like trying to fight my way into
The group.
to them.
Like, so do you think like you just didn't know them well enough, or you were too young to feel comfortable to do something like that, to
I
go
think
that
I didn't
far,
know
or-
them. I think no, because I mean, like I said, it definitely changed come junior senior year. Because I was like, then we were like tight and like
Right.
it was fine, and then I wasn't gonna date any of them. They were like my friends. Like you mess around on the week, like as kids, like we just, you know what I mean. Like you kiss someone and when you're drunk, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really date any of. Did I ever date anyone from Resident Evil? I mean, not really. Like college, yeah.
After the fact, sure. Was that, I don't know, what's that like as a kid? If for me, if I were to be in your position and kind of go into the cool kid crew and then like have friendly hookups with like I feel like I would be tormented. That's how I am now. When I have relationships and whatever with girls that I pine after or whatever, it feels tormenting at times for me. So I can't imagine being.
I think no, I don't think it bothered. I think it was kind of the opposite in a way because I was so focused on being friends with the guys. So the girls were there, which is fine. Yeah, I'm attracted to them, and like I would, whoever it was would be. I would, maybe I could date her, but it wasn't. That wasn't my goal. It was more about getting them to like me just for me, and the guys were my friends. And then the random hookup would happen here and there. But like I said, the groups were so different in a sense, and it's again, it goes back to like we said, like you've said this on previous podcasts. It's like, the seniors date the freshmen, the juniors date that. Our group had our girls, like our Brooke Johnsons, our Carleens, Natalie. Like, yeah, we would hang out with them, but a lot of them did go and hang out with the guys older than us. And then, like I said, all friendships formed with the girls younger than us, which happened to be the Rachel Weisz group,
Right.
The Katie Constables, the Katie Max, and them. And I think like especially with like the Rachel Weisses and like the Heather Becks, and then us guys like Malhorns, the Gabrus and them, we turned into like kind of out of nowhere. That was it. The 15 of us always. It wasn't even like, no, I'm gonna have like 3 people over today and we're gonna watch a movie. It was all 15 again. Like it was.
That's Saved by the Bellish.
So yeah, that's exactly what it is. So when for me, so then all right, if I ended up one night drunk and I kissed one of them, it literally was like
just did that. And
yeah, the next, literally you get up and you go to school like on Monday, it'd be like, hey, what are we doing next weekend?
So you're probably the first one to kind of admit that, because that's my impression, was that's how it kind of was that it was that style of casualness, in that you just hook up and then you go on and maybe hook up with someone else, and that's like exactly how I don't know, kind of envisioned that world. And I phrase it as sexualized, over sexualized, because it was talk in school the next, that Monday or whatever, the fallout, the blowback would be about, oh, did you hear so and so hooked up with this person, or this week they hooked up with that person, and that's how reputations are built. And you know what I mean? Like you're the kind of the first person to admit that was kind of how you experienced it, and it was very and it was very casual.
And I will say, for us in our group, which we'll go back to kind of what I was trying to go away from, of being, I guess we were just ignorant to it, because I don't think any of us ever thought about it being spoken about to anybody else in school. We just thought it was in between us, right? Like ignorantly, not even thinking about someone else being like, oh, you had a party, or these people at your house, or did you hear they hooked up with that? Like, just
blinders on.
Kind of, just didn't really. There was no thought.
Did you think you were cool?
Did I think I was cool? I don't know. I don't know if I think I'm cool now. So, I'm gonna say I probably thought I was cool. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how I exactly felt. I spent so much time trying to get into that, and it's not that group because these are my best friends now.
Right.
So, but I was trying so hard for them to like me. I guess I wasn't thinking about. It wasn't a thought like even obviously with inside like we spoke about before, but getting into that group, I didn't literally get into that group like yes I'm in it, I made it.
That's how I picture it.
It was it was. I was just happy to
exactly how I picture it.
find some fucking friends, like literally. I was so. I mean, I can't. I was so miserable, like miserable.
What do you do like every day then? When that's you're going, so you just go home and
Go home, play with my brother, we'd hang out.
hang out.
We were, yeah. I'm
Were you 4 years apart?
I'm not that cool. I'm a secret loser too. Like I will go home, watch wrestling. Like I do all that shit. I'm good with it, and I'll own it now. Like no, me. I would come home. Me and him would kick a ball in the front yard.
Yeah,
that's what we would do. I mean, yeah.
Did he feel the same way?
No,
he was way younger.
Because he was younger, and it was him and my sister. I mean,
how much younger is your sister than you guys?
So my sister's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
So there's 4 years between all of us.
Okay.
No, I think for them, my brother was actually really quiet then, but he didn't have it. I mean, like I said, we're going into high school. They're in elementary school. Yeah. They've basically grown up with everybody now.
Brand new for them.
And it's kind of the same. And again, it goes back to what we said. My sister has 12 girls. They still all went to school. They all come back and they're all still hanging out. My brother's the same. Same. I mean, as well as meeting new people, obviously. But,
right.
And introducing new people into the groups and, intertwining in that way. But that Wissahickon connection is still there at their age. Did you
have a favorite class when you were in school?
Well, Mr. Curcio senior year.
English.
Only because of him. I don't think it had anything to do with English.
Yeah.
I think I also enjoyed. I took a senior year. I took typewriting with Mr. Welch.
Oh.
And it was because of him. I just connected with him. I think it was also being seniors, right? Like they're
very carefree.
Yeah, and like they kind of getting to know you instead of worrying about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. As far as like that kind of stuff.
Just come, show up, you're gonna pass and graduate.
Yeah. I think before that though, I did have some good classes. Like my sophomore year with Miss Rice, Mr. Crane, because they did English and social studies.
Okay.
I actually think because I did listen to Kim's. I think I may have been in her class.
Oh.
Because we had quite a few people because they were like intertwined. It was like two classrooms. They had connected, and you would just go back and forth with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, favorite class that. Teacher wise, I love Curcio. Miss Karanji.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed her. She did junior year English for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
She had a mean shot.
Yeah, I actually still keep in touch with her, like via Facebook and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think those would have been it. Like I said, Gym was good.
You like gym?
I like gym
because you like being active because that's something you were used to.
Yeah, except I got a B one year from Mrs. Messer because I couldn't throw a football.
Oh.
And I was like, well, I'm not from here and I don't know how to do that.
Wow.
And I was like, and she gave me a B. And I went home and this is when we were trying to figure out the grades, right? And my dad's like, you can't even get an A in phys ed? Like, the fuck?
Yeah. Music. What did you listen to?
So music definitely evolved more when I moved here.
Yeah.
I listen to literally everything. Right. I can listen to everything and get a bit of joy out of it, except for country. I can't do country.
Okay.
I'm not a big country person. I can respect it.
Yeah.
And if someone likes it, they like it, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. A lot of people.
I guess like when I'd moved here, so over there it was very big into like garage, house and bass. Techno kind of. Craig David, that's my guy. And
I
then
was thinking about Craig David before you came over, and I was like, I wonder how insulting it would be to ask him about Craig David because I love
Craig David is
fucking love Craig David.
Craig David's still my guy. Like it's funny. That's another thing I put.
Yeah, he loves Craig David.
I introduced him to Craig David, Eric Fanstamacher, who was older than us. Craig David.
I love Craig David. That was
Craig David's a good guy.
Albums.
But yeah, I definitely like the rap.
Two-step.
Yeah, but like rap was definitely I was more cultured here.
Yeah,
via the rap game.
Wait,
like over there.
The Streets. You listen to Streets out in London.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly it. I mean, yeah. So like rap, obviously Biggie and Pac. Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like here coming, like I think who was big? Like, we had DMX had dropped.
It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yeah, which was
debut album. 98.
June. Was it 98?
Yeah, it was 98 because he dropped 2 albums in 98. And they both went #1.
So that would have been the first.
For anyone that wants to know, I did a podcast about this on my friend's podcast called Volcano Vinyl. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I'm on there. You can find it. Yeah, it's 98. He came out with his Dark and Hell is Hot, and then after that, he came out with Flesh My Flesh, Blood of My Blood at the tail end of the year.
So yeah, DMX, and then filtered into everything.
Hip hop.
Yeah.
Well, was it everything? Was it all pop or?
No, I mean I definitely still side to the hip hop side. I mean now I'm just like
90s rap was so huge here.
Right. And even
Diddy,
I feel like even like
East
through
Coast.
the early 2000s, we had some. I mean they've got more cheesier, but like he was still rocking. So I'm like,
yeah. Well, I mean a lot of the legends nowadays that are still out there, the Jay-Z's, the Fat Joes, the 50 Cents, all came from the Eminems, even the Snoop Dogs all had like a run of those mid to late 90s into early 2000s. Pharrell came out of that time,
right?
You know, Pusha T from the Clips, and
yeah, I'm still all of them. I mean, I think I still get excited when I see their names come up when there's a song released. Now I'm just like, oh yeah, here we go, we got something.
Yeah.
But I always make fun. Like I'll be like, yeah, I have my Windows up music with some crazy whack slow Taylor Swift song or some shit. Like there'll be those moments I'm like, all right, I gotta put my Windows up for this one. But yeah, I'm pretty open to music. But yeah, I mean, I'm a hip hop person, really.
Yeah.
Like I love my hip hop.
Did you keep in touch with British pop culture when you came here?
Yeah. I think I still do that now.
So like Spice Girls blew up when you moved here. Yeah,
so they were like massive
prior to
me even moving here.
So you did it twice. You did the British,
because they actually they blew up after I was here, and everyone was like, "Oh, you like the Spice Girls?" I was like, "Yeah, I've known them for like 3 years now." But yeah, I think I did keep up with them, and like the Spice Girls were easy, and they were easy just because another guy is David Beckham,
right?
So I'm a Manchester United supporter, right? He grew up playing for United, so I watched him grow up as basically as I was growing up, and he's playing, and then obviously he's with Victoria Beckham now. And at that time they were like huge. And yeah, now I mean, I know people here are obsessed with the British culture and the royals and all that sort of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, Princess Di.
Yeah. I mean, she was a big I mean, I was a kid.
She died in what, 98?
96.
96?
I think.
Okay.
I should probably know, but yeah, I think it was around right. It was before you came. But she was a big she was a big deal, but like she played a big part, and like I remember how my mom used to rave about her, and like, you know, be as a good person, and the stuff that she does that was different from what like the royal family was supposed to do, and you know how they said she's rebellious, but like all she was doing was helping people that she thought needed help.
Right.
So yeah, and then I mean now I still go I go back. I'm there. We try to go back for Christmases because like my grandparents, my cousins, and everybody's still over there. So we tried to do that, and I mean, like you said, with Facebook and like everything else now,
so easy.
But yeah, still, I mean, I'm still very much in touch with.
What about Take That? Was Take That huge for you?
They were like you're a guy, you don't like them, like you hate them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, no, we don't do Take That.
See, I love that "Want You Back for Good" song.
But they're actually really
that
good.
song.
But that's an age thing, though, right? So when I
Yeah.
was then, I was like, oh, you want to be like, like this crew.
What about like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys? Because they were always, the rumor was that they, not rumor, but they were got started in Europe, Germany, performing
And then
there,
came-
getting their chops up, and then came back to the States.
So I would have learned about them at the same time you did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Because
I-
you were here already.
I don't think we had a problem. Can't remember. Maybe we had a problem with them then, but I don't really know. Everybody's still jumping around singing "Bye Bye Bye" and stuff. and,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm a big JT fan.
Yeah. Who isn't now?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think my music is diverse.
Mhm.
I just love my hip hop.
Mhm.
For whatever reason.
If you had to pick a favorite album during high school,
During high school, it would probably be the DMX Dog as hell.
that's awesome.
Honestly, that probably would be
That's so
for
cool.
high school. Yeah, I mean, it was a real rap album.
It was so good. It's such a great
It
album.
was, and yeah, I don't know anybody who doesn't like it, but
It's so great.
I think that, and also it was like something that was a first for me here too. So it kind of like holds that.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, I love Jay-Z. And like even off that, like the Kanye albums. I mean, he's a little off his edge now, but I still like his. I know it's not for everybody.
Down
and
with God is King, or what's it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Called?
So that.
King is God. God
So it
is
came
King.
out, and I listened to it. And my brother likes him. Kevin Rogers likes him. We got a couple others that like him. I liked his music, I should say. I don't know about him anymore. I don't know what he's doing. I like his sneakers. I'll rock them all day. But I listened to it, and right away I was like, straight up, I was like, this is trash. I was like, straight up garbage. Like every emoji that had anything related to like trash and rubbish was on this text. And then I kind of listened. I've listened to it and listened to it and listened to it. And I guess I don't mind it anymore.
Really?
I think because I'm listening to the beats, never mind what is being said.
Right.
Because I just went through, like I said, I ain't got a problem with gospel music or if someone likes gospel music. But I don't think the world needs a Kanye West gospel album.
No.
Like, I don't think they need him
It's
trying
not
to...
something we've been looking for.
Like, nobody needs us to be told from Kanye West of all people after all the shit that he's put out there that this is where you find God. Like,
No.
I think we're all right, bro. But I think I still won't say I like it, but I can listen to it.
Okay.
It's definitely more tolerable than I thought. But yeah, he's definitely not where he was back in the day.
I have, for the record, like desaturated my entire. So I have like a massive physical library of music, like of MP3s and stuff. I don't do like streaming music. I actually like still have all the MP3s and of albums, full albums, and I have completely removed Kanye from all of like my smart playlists. I have them, I own them, but I've removed like all his.
Didn't you put a post up today of him?
What's that?
Wasn't that on your post? Him and the Dre picture?
Oh, on Instagram. Yeah. So I posted because apparently he was in the studio with Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And so I go,
the two people that don't release albums like that would take
yeah,
that would be another 20 years.
That's what my buddy said. My buddy goes, this is like, he said like that's the like the crew of the album release getting pushed back.
Yeah. One pushes them back and one just doesn't
put
them out.
Just quits music.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I said that, when hip hop heads say they're not fucking with Kanye anymore, Ye wants to see how much you mean it.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that's going to get me listening to Kanye again, I might have to hear that Dr. Dre, Kanye
I was going to say, if Dre's putting
collab
is out there, then yeah, it might be something.
I figured that would be 2025. But listening to Kanye, like, it makes me sad when I hear his past music.
Oh yeah,
it makes me like physically like sad face. And R. Kelly's the only other person that I feel that way about, where I just go, I can't listen to this.
Yeah.
I don't even feel that way about Michael Jackson, but R. Kelly and Kanye West, I just can't listen to their songs anymore.
Yeah. There's two other artists I always liked. MJ,
Michael Jackson.
I mean, Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I still don't know which way. He's definitely weird. It is what it is. He's gone. Just let him be now. I mean, R. Kelly's just fucked. I won't even get into him.
It's another
But like I
podcast.
enjoyed his music.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of
We
people
grew
that
up to that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the year below us graduated to the world's greatest. Like that was their graduation song.
We sang "I Believe I Can Fly" in
Right.
mine. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and where it is now, that just has to be put to bed.
Yeah, it's a part of our childhood that's just been like
Yeah,
taken
Yeah.
away. I don't know where to go from that. No, so when you were as you're now like headed into like 11th grade, your 12th grade, you've now like kind of found your footing socially. What are your aspirations? What do you want to, and you said you went to Monco and but you wanted to play soccer through college. Like, what did you want to do ultimately? What did you think your life was going to be now that you're in America and you got like a year left? What did you want to do? What did you think you were building towards?
So I think I will actually never forget. So it was it had to have been junior year because we had Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Frenchfolk for English and social studies. And I forget what we had. We had some like the whole class was like broken up into like groups, obviously, and they had to try to like figure something out. And I just remember Mrs. Frenchfolk, coming up to me at the end of the class and just being like, "You're like a very good leader, like strategically, in the sense of like you're very good at like getting people to like look at something one way, and then taking ideas and listening to the people around you, and then coming up with a solution." And this one thing that stuck with me. I just remember her saying that because then she said it to my parents at the parents' night or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then they came back and were like, "Oh, your teacher said this about you," and I like kind of just thought it kind of just went over my head a little bit. But I was like, "Yeah, I get it from you guys." It's like, and my mom's like, "Oh, you're like a project manager type of person, that kind of stuff," which is exactly why I am today.
Yeah,
Like,
that's cool.
So I think after hearing that, it will, and again, I'm still having that aspiration. Like, I gotta go to school now. I'm in this group. Like, that bit's behind me. It's already in my head. I gotta go to college. Which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You're gonna go to school, or you're not. Like, or you go work. That's fine. So I was junior year, things changed in the sense of like definitely started to apply myself a little bit better. Right now, I'm comfortable where I am. I had my friends. I'm playing the sport. Like, I know where I stand, kind of. So yeah, I think I did start to apply myself in the sense of like, all right, I do want to go to college, and let's see where it goes from there. And then if you just fast forward to like, yeah, we graduated, and then just making the decision, I wasn't ready. I knew I just wasn't ready.
So there was nothing in your head like, I want to be this when I'm 30. I know you had skill sets you were aware of, but like there was nothing like that.
I think I was still so ignorant even at that point. Like, I was still gonna be a professional soccer player. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I can get a full ride to a school somewhere, playing here, and then go, which is pure. That is ignorance. I can say that. Yeah.
I just think that. I mean, I guess so.
I mean, yeah, it's ignorance.
It's youth.
I can say it now. I just think, yeah, there's
Youth.
no
Every
real
kid,
belief,
whether it's soccer, baseball, football, basketball.
It's what you think you can do. And
kids who are immersed in it and train that way. I mean, sports treats you to. No one ever goes as a youth into school or into a sport where a coach says, "All right, kids, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna work hard as shit, and you are gonna suck at this."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're gonna work hard, and you could make millions of dollars doing this if you really, really apply yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. And no, I didn't know. I didn't even know when I got to school what I wanted to do. Yeah. Went in and just took like the regular your 100 classes.
All right.
And then
at Monco.
And then
let me ask you this. So now like majority of your friends, right? Like let's see how good I am here. I know Nelson went to Gettysburg.
He did.
I don't think I know where anyone else went.
So Nelson and Malholm went to Gettysburg.
I know they both went there.
Gabriel went to Bloomsburg.
Bloomsburg, of course. Yes.
Andy went to Villanova.
Kevin went to Penn State.
Kevin went to Penn. Evan went to William and Mary.
Oh, okay.
Who am I missing it? Bill went to Rhode Island.
Okay.
McQuaid went to Lycoming. Cassidy went to school. He went to Westchester. So I ended up rooming with
I
him
thought
when
he
I
went
went
to Villanova.
when I went to Westchester. Yeah, he went to Westchester. He played soccer there.
Okay.
Um,
So my point of that is that so everyone leaves.
I still had a couple. Keenan and Brad, they did the same route. They chose Monco.
Okay.
Then they ended up going to Temple.
All right.
But yeah, it was actually the three of us. Yeah, that were still at home.
Did that feel like anything for you that you were still home?
It didn't for me because I did have schools that I was accepted in, and I chose not to go to them, right? Because I think if I didn't get into anywhere, and then Monco was my only choice, myself, I'd probably been like, fuck, I didn't do what I thought I was going to be able to do, right? And I would have been that guy, but I was lucky enough that I didn't have that, and it was my choice. I was like, this is what I need to do for myself at this point. And I went to see every single one of them at their schools. Sure. I went to every single one of their schools except for Bill out in Rhode Island. I was like, I'll see you on the holidays. That's a hike. So yeah, like that, and again, that year and a half at Monco. So that first year helped me a lot, right? It kind of getting in the whole, like, you can show up and you can't show up if you don't want to, that kind of stuff. And I feel like it was tough for us to go to Monco. You had to drive to get there. We weren't walking to like classes and stuff.
Yeah, snow, all that shit.
So then that I did that first year, and then in that first semester of the next year, I really pushed because I knew I wanted to go to school. Because I'd visited all these colleges, right? I'd gone and seen where my friends are.
What was your
how their parties are and the girls, and it's completely just not. Forget about when I moved there, high school being a movie. Like, then you saw like college when you're not there, and you're like, holy shit, this is like a playground. Like, where you can come here and like you wake up on a Saturday morning and everybody's coming to your house where you live at college, and you're watching college football all day and you're drinking, and then there's a party, and then you go to a sports game and watch it, and then you come back and so yeah, I saw that, and it was like, then my mind was set. It was like, I need to get to where I want to get as soon as I can. Like, I was done with, all my friends are gone anyway. So what am I doing? Yeah, it was like,
what was the coolest, most fun school for you to visit of your friends?
It was Westchester, and that's why I chose to go there, away from the soccer bit. Like, take the soccer.
Who went there that you visited?
So Dan Cassidy was there, Corey Lusham was there, and then Ryan Seekis was there, who was the year older than us. Okay. So Ryan and Dan were both playing soccer. And yeah, me and Daniel was at a connection playing. So, but I guess, when I went to visit them, just like the parties they took me to, and then they had already, like, they were introducing me. It was like, he's coming here next year. He's going to play here. So like, people were already like, oh, can't wait till you're here. Like,
you're already there.
And it was just like, this is where I need to be. Like, and that sort of made my mind up. I remember the weekend coming home going to my mom and just being like, I'm going to Westchester. And that was kind of how I made my choice. With that said, I had a ton of fun going to see everybody else. Like Gettysburg, it's a different kind of school, but they were both in fraternities. So when I went to see them, it was always like rage wild.
Both in what?
Fraternities.
Oh, fraternities.
So like Malvern was in one and Nelson was in a separate one.
Okay.
So you got to see two different types. Penn State is Penn State, right? So that place is just crazy.
Yeah.
Bloomsburg was definitely my worst because I got arrested there. So I didn't really want to go back there. That was
What happens when you get arrested in America? Is that
so
troublesome?
Let's go back. Well, so I was on a green card at this point, right?
Yeah.
And I take that back. We were applying for our green card because now we were saying we were staying. So
your family, your whole family.
Yeah. So we went through all of high school, no trouble. As many parties as I had, like touchwood, no cops, nothing. I'm still, it was all freshman year of school, so we're still underage. I actually went to see Pete at Widener. Went to visit him, go to a house party, house gets busted. I get arrested. First time ever underage. Put me in the back of the car, take me to there, and it's kind of like write me up.
Mhm.
And it's like, all right, you have to go. And forget that bit. It's like I now have to go and tell my parents. Like that's what I'm more
You got
worried about.
such bigger things than a court appearance.
So we get through that. Obviously, they're pissed off at me. That one. They just said, pay your fine and you're good.
Okay.
There was so many people at this place. Like it was just like one of them. So 2 weeks later is when I go to Bloomsburg. I took 1 weekend off. The following weekend, I'm like, all right, Garrett, I'm coming up. Great day. Chrissy Jones was actually with me, who was a year younger than us.
Yes.
And
I say that like, sorry, that sounds so creepy. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say that because I recently became Facebook friends with her, and I was like, God, I couldn't remember her last name.
Well, because now she's married to George.
Yeah. And so I was like, God, what is the last name? And I kind of remember growing up with her from Madison Avenue.
Right.
And so when you say that, I'm like, God, you nailed it. That was it. Chrissy Jones.
So I think we had gone up together, but then she had gone to see her friends, and like we had like Adrian O'Connor and
oh yeah, yep.
Gabber, and those guys were all at Bloomsburg. So I'd gone to see them, and I guess I was going back to meet Chris wherever he was, and I'm walking up this hill, and Chrissy comes like literally tumbling down. Like I grab her. As soon as I grab her, as she's on the floor, cops stop, and they're like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm like helping my friend." And they were like, "Oh, you and this," and she's like, "Yeah, I know him. It's fine." And they were like, "Yeah, no, getting arrested."
Mm.
So at this time, I'm now shitting myself because I'm like, my dad's already yelled at me and about the green card. I can't keep getting in trouble because they won't issue me one, and then I'm done. So I'm literally telling this Bloomsburg cop who's looking at me, I'm in the middle of the sticks, and he's just like, I'm like, dude, I can't get in trouble. Like I'm trying to stay in this country, and obviously that comes out the wrong way. So
trying to fuck with America, son.
So then literally, so I'm just like trying to do this, and these guys are just like, you just need to shut up, like stop talking. I'm just like, all right.
You have the right to remain silent, bro.
So I go back home and I do the same thing again. I'm like, I got, and now they're like really into me because now they're actually really talking about the green card shit, like all this stuff. So long story short, that bit passes, we pay the fine and whatnot, and then it wasn't until literally, so now that was in that first semester of our sophomore year of college when I was still at Monaco, right? And then on that second semester, I went to Westchester. It wasn't until halfway through second semester of me being at Westchester now. So like after spring break.
Yeah.
So letter goes to my parents for a warrant for my arrest from the Bloomsburg. And my mom was like, she's talking to them. She's like, wait, we sent the fine. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, your son's license is suspended. He has to do this, this, and this. And she's like, it was this long ago. So she calls me, she's like, you need to come home. Come home from school. What's going on? She's like, you need to drive this check up to Bloomsburg and pay this off. And I was like, I'm not going there. I was like, there's a warrant out for my arrest. They're going to lock me up. I was like, I'm not doing that. So we got to figure out something else. So they took care of that bit because I called Pete's dad, Mr. Sampone. Lucky enough having that kind of lawyer with us. He took care of that, but then I had to do like community service, and I did a bunch of that in like Chester County I was at. They sent me there instead of going all the way up there. And like an AA class. And again, this goes back to me growing up as a youth. We're drinking.
It wasn't a big deal.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't like I was like, if I was like jumping off buildings and like throwing shit at houses and yeah, then you deserve to get in a bit of trouble. But I was drinking. I wasn't belligerent.
Did you at any point? Do you ever think that like that changing that call? Did it ever become anything like that for you, where you were just like socially, it was just you were just doing it too big, or?
No, because I didn't ever think. Even the times I did get in trouble, like I was never like drunk.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, I blew over legal limit, which would get me in trouble.
Sure,
but I was
you were drunk, but you weren't.
I was never like
out of control.
No. Yeah. So I never ever thought I was like, oh, I deserve this or anything like that.
Yeah.
I know I was doing wrong.
Sure.
But yeah.
Only because the law, that's what you do.
I mean, I'm looking at
like,
at like some of the boys like next to me and they're like puking everywhere. So like, I'm like.
Right. That's what I mean. Only because the United States says you can't do it until you're 21,
right.
So, but you weren't.
So I never thought of it as like an issue or anything in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I also think I had a tolerance of just because of the way I was brought up. Right?
Brought up, yeah.
I've been I don't know what the word is, like weaned into it, or like progressively drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, now it doesn't really matter. And again, all sorts of fucking trouble.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah. Now you deal with like the normal shit. Now
I can remember the first time I drank, like actually like drank. I was with Scott Ritter and Ray Campion came over, and we were just like hanging out at the house, and we were seniors and had like a bottle of like whiskey or something, and I was like trying to drink it, and I was like not into this at all, and I didn't even know what the feeling of drunk was. And then I remember the next time was senior week and drinking like Budweiser and thinking like, all right, here we go. Like I am 18. This is senior week. We're drinking, and I drank it. I was like, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
This is horrible. And then I discovered rum and cokes, and things got better.
That was
there. That was it.
It's funny that you said that, because now I guess it's something I should forget, and I never did. The first time I really, really, really drank with everybody here, like hard, was junior year Halloween. Do we used to get a day off after Halloween here?
I tell everyone that. I feel like we always did. Yes, yep.
Because we didn't have school the next day.
Nope. Yeah, we always had off the day after Halloween.
So we went to Normandy, right? That neighborhood.
Yeah.
We were actually, Julie Forster was having a Halloween party. But like our parents were there. But like that was where everybody was going to trick or treat. But like we went.
So you're 17. You're 16.
Yeah.
You're trick or treating first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at the same time, kind of. Because like
you're getting drunk but you're trick or treating as a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and everyone else is 7, although she's your age.
Correct.
But the crew of guys are 17.
17, yeah. But then it was even the year.
I only bring it up because nowadays people are like, if you have a driver's license or facial hair, you should not be able to trick or treat. So,
right.
I think it's a big point that yes,
yeah.
as kids, we were able to.
And the year above us was there too.
Yes.
So we had 3 different years.
I trick or treated. I was like 20, 21.
I know. Free candy.
Yeah. No harm.
But we were in the woods drinking, like literally just pounding straight SoCo. And I literally remember, well, this was part of the problem. I literally remember it. Just pounding away out of a handle of Southern Comfort. Like I can't drink Southern Comfort to this day. Yeah. If you put it in front of me, I'd probably leave the room. Like I just, yeah, all over the place. Try to trick or treat, can't do it, can't walk. Walking,
this is you.
This is me.
Yeah.
Walking to the Forsters up their driveway, puking everywhere. Just shit coming out. Literally puking everywhere. Knocking on the front door. Well, I actually didn't knock. I walked into the front door and just screamed, I'm fucking here. And Eric Nelson, who at the time was actually dating Julie Forster, literally just punched me through my chest. I went out the front door over the bush. Like we still talk about this. Over the bush. And he was like, you got up, and we're just like, the fuck, and just puked again all over. And then her dad came out, and I'd never met her parents. This is me first meeting these people that I'm like trying to be friends with.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me and is just like, who? He like grabs me. He's like, who's got this kid and who's taking him home? Otherwise, I am. And I'm just like looking at him. He's like, nah, I can't go home like this. I can't go home like this. You're not taking me home. I ended up getting taken home by Alexis Heyman, who is now Eric Malhoun's wife.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she and Joanna Leitner at that time drove me home. Thank you to them. But I was like, leave me at the end of my driveway. Because I'm...
Yeah, you don't want the car to pull up. You just want to walk in.
So...
Or sneak in.
Well, they left me at the end of the driveway. I went...
Slide.
I knocked on the front door because I didn't have keys.
Oh, no.
And then I ran back to the end of the driveway. So my mom opened the door and was like, what are you doing?
And you're talking about Scream.
I was like, I'll be in a little bit. Like, I was a mess. And I still don't think they know to this day that I was there.
Yeah.
But that would have been... And I think ever since that day, I really learned how to drink. Because I was like, I'd never do that again. Like, I would never ever do that.
That's
again.
funny too, because you started this by saying, you know, you've been drinking since you were 11 and you were never like a puke drinker. And then there was, you know, you're at this big party and before the party ever starts, you're already.
Yeah. I just did what
puke
they were doing around me. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
But you learned your lesson right there that
Done.
that's not how you want to handle it.
Never again. I didn't want to be that person, basically. That was just my own choice. I'll drink all night with you. I just know
How to monitor.
You're not carrying me home, basically. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was from that day. I learned from that day.
Yeah.
So I think I was just embarrassed. I think I was embarrassed, right? Spent a lot of time for these people to take me out, and then they did, and I'm now the sloppy fucking dude. But you bounce back. Where you're not allowed to be this here anyway. Like you're not allowed to be drinking. So now I may be getting other people in trouble because they have to take care of me. So I'm forgetting me, but now I'm fucking with other people. So,
but you bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, I can't just stay in
socially.
I guess I survived.
So do you remember that afterwards? Was that like a?
I do remember because this is how I remember we didn't have school the next day, but we had practice at 3:00, and I remember going there, and the older guys being like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "I don't know what the fuck I said to any of you last night. Like, I don't." I was like, "Look, just get me through this practice because I need to go home and go to bed." And yeah, that was the end of it. People gave me shit like on the team, like busting my balls, which is totally what should happen. Which was actually kind of like a comforting feeling. That they did it that way,
acceptance.
Right?
Badge of honor.
and then that was it. And we moved on.
What was your life like college, post high school? I mean, I know you friends and everything, but what was that kind of how did that kind of progress for you in your 20s then? You transferred and went to Westchester, played soccer, had a couple of friends from high school, but a lot more friends, I assume, from the team and school in general and life. I know at some point you end up in New York, but I don't know, fill in the gaps for me.
Yeah. I think it kind of just kept progressing for me in a sense. Again, like I said, lucky. But I had Cassidy and Seekis and them on the team already. So, and like I said, I'd already gone up. We can say it was a recruiting trip, but for me, it was just a weekend there where they introduced me to so many people that I ended up, when I got to college, that was the group already.
Yeah.
Right. So I lucked out in that sense. And then being on the team again, I mean, this took it to like a whole different level because there's so many more people watching the sports at school. So your exposure is like even more, right? And in college is very different from high school, I would say, on the sports teams. At least where we were on the soccer team is like, not everybody is your so-called cool kid that's playing on the team. They're just talented and they can play the game. And away from the field, they're, if you want to call them a nerd, like, you know what I mean? Like,
academic.
But yeah, I told you, nerd's definitely the wrong word. Academic.
No,
I'll get in trouble this time. But because you're on a team and you build a bond, like you take all those people in. And then I think by that point, you're, I don't know, 18, 19. I mean, I was always the younger, but at a point I got older than the younger kids coming in. And I felt like I was always like, I'm going to take these people in just because of how I got here, right? How when I moved, I've always like been like, I'll give anybody a chance. And if you're not supposed to click with everybody.
For sure.
But if like they're on my team, they should be included in everything we're doing. Like,
supportive.
Like why not?
Yeah.
And if they choose that they want to do something else, that's fine. So I still talk to quite a lot of the people I played with in college. I've been in like a few of my college friends' weddings. We still meet up, hang out. Again, like I said, I think the whole no family here, I've always made my friendships very, very important to myself. So like more family, like they're important people to me.
Yeah.
And without them knowing, it got me through like a lot of stuff. So yeah, definitely. I think nothing ever. I think I just continued to climb a ladder or like stay at a level in the sense of the friendships meant a lot.
Mhm.
There's people coming into my life that I spent a lot of time with. I'm not just gonna like be done with them now, right? Like let's keep going. Like we're friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, so yeah, and like New York was just something I always somewhere I was always wanted to live.
Mhm.
But again, I had people there, so it was like, all right, this is where I want to go. I already have like 4 people.
Yeah.
We can make this work and like
Yeah.
meet new people. So I did. So just said, let's go. Moved there.
So you just moved. There was no.
I moved. I had a job where I was traveling. I didn't have to be in the office, so I could be remote. So
dope.
being in New York was fine.
That's
and then
cool.
I actually got put on a project which was in Manhattan, which worked out perfectly.
That's awesome.
So then I lived with Andy Black and Chris Moss, actually.
So now that you went to New York, then come back to Philly. How long were you living in New York?
I was in New York for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I broke the lease. I was like, I got sick, but I didn't know I was sick. So basically, I mean, we're starting to see some blood, this, that, and the other, like without getting technical.
Yeah.
Internal
shit.
Yeah. I just thought I was like partying too much in the sense of like, we're out in New York. We were out a lot. We're drinking, living it up. I was just like, I thought it was like kind of nothing. And then it just like wouldn't stop. So it was like, I probably should just go back home. I've spent a shitload of money. I haven't saved anything. I've been literally living it up in New York.
Were you living in Manhattan?
We were living in Manhattan.
Wow, yeah.
I didn't need to be there for work anymore. So it was kind of like,
on a
all right.
project.
Yeah. I was like, all right, it's time. So I came home, moved back home, and things just started to progress. Like I wasn't getting any better and that kind of stuff. Kept going to get checked out. Ended up diagnosing me with like very moderate ulcerative colitis, which was obviously just like ulcers through the colon. They would gave me medication, that kind of stuff. It should clear up. Never cleared up. So I think so that was then. Yeah. So it kept progressing. I was put on heavier medication, which was supposed to help it out. And it was pretty. I mean, I thought I was pretty good. I didn't have to change anything in my lifestyle. I mean, I was still out and about,
managing
whatever I wanted. Yeah, doing whatever I wanted to do. Not a problem. And then it started to like just get worse and worse. And then it was when I was here in 20. So I'd already been seeing my doctors. I got my specialist now at this point. 2016, went to Jefferson just to a regular checkup with my doctor. Walked in and he just looked at me and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I don't know. I had a fever the night before. It was at like 102.6 or something.
Jesus.
Something weird.
You say that so casually.
I just...
Was that just the norm for you at that time?
Yeah, because
when you say everything was fine,
it wasn't.
Is that you're like,
but that was my normal
dealing. Right. That's what I mean. Like you just kind of feel like crap, but your life's not changing, and you just know that you're on some sort of edge.
Right. Because everybody was like, "Oh, are you all right?" And I'm like, I mean, this is just how I feel all the time at this point. So
wow.
Does it really matter?
And you're working, traveling,
still doing all of that,
being social.
Yeah. I was actually traveling a lot at that point too, so it was a little bit tougher. And because I'm not going to tell people I'm working with, I need to go here and do this or whatever I need to do.
Why?
I think it's just because it's like a bowel syndrome thing. So it wasn't something I wanted to be like.
You're just embarrassed to talk about it.
Like, I'm gonna go take a shit. Like, it's, I mean, and now.
But so at no point were you like, I have something like for you to be able to say I'm not well. I have a medical issue. Like without having to be so specific, you just felt like you gotta go take a shit, and I can't explain that to people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas now, after everything I've been through, I'll be the most open about anything that nobody wants to hear about. Like, I was like, I don't even care.
And I don't know the end to what you're getting to, but I feel like you're about to say like you found the proper diagnosis, but at the time you weren't able to say, I don't feel well. There's something happening. I need to handle this, or I need to work from home, or whatever. You're just going to deal with it, be in pain, be uncomfortable.
Right. And it was kind of just exactly what I did, and would just go with it and deal with it, figure it out. Until this day where I did walk into my doctor and was just like, oh yeah, he looks at me, feeling okay. Nope, I had a fever last night. And he's telling me I look pale, and I'm like laughing. I'm like, well, I've never looked pale in my life, so if I'm looking pale, something might be wrong. I don't know. He checks all my vitals and just literally everything's low. And he just looks at me and he's like, I have to admit you today. And I'm like, okay. I was like, yeah, I don't feel well. I feel dizzy and whatnot. And he's like, I'm admitting you right now. We'll put you in a bed. Okay. 36 days later is when I came out.
Wow. Where are you?
I'm in Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
Here in Philly.
Yeah. Two things in those 36 days. One was I was made aware that my friendships were beyond real. Because there were people there every day or every night. And
how long ago was this?
2016.
I remember
2016. Yeah,
I remember this.
Yeah, you commented on my thing, actually. I do know that. Yeah, there was someone there every day. From new friends, well, the high school friends were there.
I feel like I don't know why. I feel like I almost might cry while you're telling this. All right, go ahead.
The high school friends were there, right? So, they were all there. I had every single one of them coming multiple times. And then new friends were in and out the whole time. They knew, obviously from diagnosis, ulcerative colitis. That was fine. And with this said, look, I'm still sitting in this. I know people have been through a lot more shit, so this isn't a sob story or nothing like that.
Sure.
It's just
we're
just shooting the shit, right?
Yeah,
That's what
I'm
we're
asking the question. So,
so
it is all sort of colitis. That's what the issue is.
That's definitely in me. They knew that severity or whatnot. I don't know if they knew or not. So we were going through it, and then so I'd got their tests, everything was done, and they were like, all right. And I'm like, I'm in like pain that I've never been in before. Like my stomach, it's not even like a stomach. I was just like, I couldn't explain the pain. It's funny because I did this on purpose today in the sense of like just going back to when everything happened. But like, I was on like stupid doses of morphine.
Oh, wow.
Like on a level where it was ridiculous. Like my brother, I still remember my brother coming in and asking the doctor, like, he's not going to be addicted to like morphine when he gets out of it, right? And it was just the pain I was in. Like I was in...
Are you getting intravenously?
Yep. Yeah.
For during the 36 days?
Yeah. Every day, every 4 hours.
Hitting a button?
No. They are coming and pumping me. Eventually, we changed to the button because I was like, you're taking too long.
Right.
I need something like to keep me going. So ulcerative colitis. Then I had C. diff at the same time, which they were worried about getting in your bloodstream, which is another thing that can do all sorts of stuff to you. And then at the same time, they were like, you have E. coli as well.
Wow.
But you can't treat all of them at the same time because you can't treat the E. coli for the C. diff and then the ulcerative colitis. Can I ask,
how do you get the E. coli?
We still don't know.
Because that was a thing that was actually going around in southeastern Pennsylvania was E. coli with beef, with farms that people visit pretty frequently as a tourist thing.
Right.
So when I hear that, I'm just super curious because I know that's a thing. I don't know anyone that ever actually had it, but that's a thing that people were very concerned about over the last 10 years really here. And
then they ended up with the E. coli thing. They ended up coming with it was a false negative. So I think I either flushed it out my system or they just didn't know, like literally, because there was so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
You can tell I lost tons of weight, obviously, because I was just like, there was nothing to me at one point, but everything was swollen because they're pumping so much drugs to me.
Wow.
So then it wasn't until towards the end. So like, I don't know, let's say day 28. I mean, like I said, going through this, I've had everybody there. I've now made this like room, my own room. Like I bought my own TV.
It's been a month.
I bought my own TV in. I've got like,
you gotta watch sports.
Pictures and it was the summer. Like there was a European soccer championship going on. I was like, I got games to watch. Like I'm not You can make like I have stuff to do here.
Mm.
I knew every nurse, and they were just like, "Oh, you're like our easiest patient." Like I was like, well, I'm not dying. Like I'm sick, but and I
Trying
would
to figure out how to get
I'll
better.
talk to you guys. You're my age. Like we can connect.
Yeah.
They're like, what would you be doing? I was like, I'd rather be, I don't know, down the beach or at the bar. Like I don't.
Right.
So yeah, it wasn't until I guess like I think it was around the 28th day, and they gave me an option, and they were like, we can put you on another infusion medication that may not work, or you can have surgery.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. I was like, without you telling me anything, I'm leaning into surgery because I've been through medications for like the last 4 years, and
Fucks
I'm
with your
here, and
body.
it hasn't helped me. So
Yeah.
which way are we going? And then I was like, so what do we do for surgery? And in my mind, I was like, all right, surgery is, they know there's stuff in my colon, they'll just cut that bit out and we're good to go.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I think I want surgery. Can I talk to the surgeon? And, they have to go through the whole explanation of what's going to happen. So he comes in and we're sitting there. It's like me and my parents. And he's like, all right, would be the surgery. He's like, we'd remove your entire colon. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, what do you mean the entire, like the whole thing? And he was like, yeah, I was like, you can't just cut the infected part out and,
Mm-hmm.
reconstruct whatever you got to do. He's like, no, the only option is to take the whole thing out. And I'm like, all right. So then now I'm kind of shook. And then we go through everything. Like, what's the thing? And I was like, and then he was like, well, then you have to have a bag attached to your stomach because that's where your waste is going to go after you remove your colon, that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, but do I have that for my whole life? And now this would be me going back to being myself and the age I'm at and where we are. I was like, I can't live with a bag on my stomach. I'll just deal with the pain. Like I'm not doing it. And then they were like, no, we can reverse it after a certain amount of time.
Heals.
And you can then get rid of the bag. So I was straight up right then. Once he had said that to me, I was like, I offer surgery. I was like, get this shit out of me. And of course the surgeon's like, you're going to be fine once we do this for you. And like, so I'm like, no pun intended. I'm shitting myself because of what he said. But I'm like, yeah, I want surgery. Like pretty flat out. And that was kind of it. And he was like, all right, we're going to do your surgery in 3 days. That was 20. Yeah. He did it 2 days after I said yes. And then I went home 2 days after that. But I do remember I woke up with a bag on me. Obviously freaking out. Like I woke up and I was just like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So I did 8 weeks with the bag. Pretty much didn't leave my house. Like obviously I went home, parents. I couldn't really do much anyway. Like I was pretty beat up. I did have one episode. I think I was home for like 3 days. And like obviously like now we're again back at my parents' house. Everybody's letting loose. Like my parents are happy. Like I'm home. They're all hammered. Nelson comes over to see me. And the Olympics were on this year.
Okay.
We're watching Phelps. And we're all sitting there. And I'm like, all right. We're all sitting there. Like Nelson's sitting there. Like he came to see me. And I'm like, I don't feel great. I'm just going to take a minute. Went upstairs. I came back downstairs and like nothing works. Like my body's just like not. And like I've gone black and blue everywhere.
What do you mean black and blue?
Just like no circulation. I can't get fluids out on me. Like I just feel everything feels off. Like I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. So I come downstairs and Nelson's the only sober person in my house. And he looks at me. He's like, dude, what the fuck is going on? He's like, you don't look. He's like, I'm taking you to the hospital. Whips me to Lansdale Hospital. We get there. I still can't move. He runs in, grabs this nurse and is like, just get this dude to the back. They rushed me into the back. And give me like a pill. And they're just, first, obviously, they're asking me like, what's going on? And I'm like explaining. I'm like,
you're conscious.
I'm like,
you just feel.
This is what I just got home from 2 days ago. Like, and then give me a pill. And then I tell Eric to come back. I'm like, yo, come to where they had me. And he just looks at me. He's like, and the nurses told him what they've given me. And he just looks at me. He's like, you take a pill? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, you just look like a brand new person. I was like, yeah. I was like, I feel like I can talk and stuff again. Like, had something to do with because now there's a pouch in me, right?
Right.
Had something to do with it opening and closing. And it got too tight. And apparently this pill just like opened it back up.
Oh, like a muscle relaxer, maybe.
Yeah. So he was like, you better remember that day that I like saved your life. I'm like, all right, bro. You drove me to the hospital and you took the longest way there. So, so yeah, I did that. But I mean, the point of that story is really away from the sickness is going back to those high school friends. And not even the high school friends. Like I put a Facebook post up just thanking the support I got from everybody. And the amount of people I hadn't talked to that just know me, that had left a comment or left a like, you being one.
Yeah.
That shows kind of a lot of the people that we know.
Yeah.
And I guess of myself, I don't know. So yeah, that it kind of just rolls back into what this is all about. Like the high school thing, you didn't think they were your friends, but then they somewhat showed that they cared. It's not just a like at the end of the day, man. And it comes back to be like, wow, took a time, regardless if it was a second. They could easily scroll by your name if they didn't like you, right? So, but yeah, so it's something you live with and you take care of yourself. I mean, I'm sure I could be a lot better than I am. I'm not willing to give up my life where it's not stopping me from doing anything. Like it was stopping me at one point and I made that decision. Now I can handle it. And I do my best not to make it a burden on anybody else with me. Like I don't want my girlfriend having to deal with it. Though she does. She knows. Sure. Right? So there's definitely times where she's like, fuck. Which is fair to her. Yeah. But then she also gets it. But it's not. I did that already. Yeah. Now it's you live and you learn, you grow up. So
that's it.
That's kind of it.
Manage. So how's life now?
Life now? I am not a professional soccer player.
Not doing it?
Nah, because if I was, I would have flown you out to like wherever I am and we would have done this.
That would have been great. You travel a lot. We could do another podcast and I'll come out to wherever you're.
I do travel. I try to travel a lot. It's something that is like very important to me.
Amar, I looked at your Facebook because I work with a soccer fan, and I was like, this guy's from England, from London. This guy's always like traveling. This guy's pictures, like your pictures are all just dope travel.
I think there's a lot out there.
There is. I haven't done like really any international travel outside of like, Canada and like the Dominican Republic.
I've never been to Canada, so you got that on me.
All right, so I can tell you all about Toronto and Montreal.
I do want to go
and I've been to like a what do you call it, a resort in the Dominican Republic, and that's all my passport has.
I've kind of changed the way going out in the sense of I'd rather save it to go away, especially now. It's easy, and you know why it's easier now? Because my friends do have kids and they can't do anything. Yeah, and I will be 100% honest. Having a girlfriend that wants to do that, it makes it a lot easier, right? I have my travel buddy now. Yeah. So yeah, the places to go see, I know I have someone to go with me. It's harder to get your boy to go with you or something like that.
Now you're in a relationship, so who cares?
Right. So it's always been something I'd like to do and want to do. So I think, like I just take back. I put more money away to go travel and do it that way. Yeah. I should put more money away to do other things, but if I'll get the traveling bit out of my, it's just something. Yeah. And I think it's also, it looks one way too, because my traveling is a lot just to London.
Right. Sure.
But that's just going home, really. Right. So
When you say put away, you talking about? I'm curious about it because I'm very financially novice. When you talked about like just spending money, that was my, when you were in your 20s, just spending money in New York, that was me in Connecticut. My first run in Philly. Shit, sometimes some different weeks here in Philly now on this run. Just just spending money. But are you talking about like putting away in savings? Or you?
I mean,
for travel stuff and things.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, I will openly admit I'm bad at it. I'm more of just live it now. But yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, I'm saying I do more in the sense of like, all right, if people are like, oh, you want to go out for a drink, or you want to go to dinner and that kind of stuff. I don't have a problem saying no because I'm actually saving that weekend's money to put away for a trip, and that just knowing.
And that's what I mean. Like
going,
with that, are you putting that into a savings account or into like some long term thing? Or I'm just curious, just in how you think.
Yeah. There'll be that. I need to put more into my savings account for like long term.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's probably gonna listen to this, so I don't know, but I think my life's definitely getting more real in the life aspect now. I'm like I said, I've been lucky enough to do enough what I've wanted to do. Obviously there's more that I want to do, but it's moving forward in a different way. So yeah, the savings aspect has to change in some sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, it's not the right way. I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way, but yeah, I go to work so I can enjoy my life.
Is this what you expected?
No, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I didn't know what to expect. All I can say, honestly, is that like the relationships I built are everything I want.
Yeah.
Again, like I said it before, moving here was easily the best thing that's ever happened to me.
What do you think would be going on right now if you never moved? Parents stayed in West London?
I'd probably be in trouble.
Was West London rough? Or
yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah.
I still follow it's on Instagram. They do like the happenings of where they are. I mean, there's a stabbing, a breaking in, a shooting, or something every other day. I grew up in like a very minority based area.
Do they call it? I apologize if this is. Do they call it Cockney?
I have a Cockney accent.
Yeah, so like I consider that like rough. Right?
Yeah, it's like, very street, and it's, I don't know about but it's
I don't mean pirate.
No, I know what you mean. It's definitely street slangish talk. I mean, my parents don't talk like I talk, but it's where I grew up and how I went to school and kind of stuff. No, if I wasn't here, I don't think it would have been that great, to be honest.
Really?
I don't think it would.
Just knowing the type of person you are, and what you've learned, knowing how hard you just kind of described everything, just imagining what you've come through, and you don't think that over your. If you were to imagine yourself in London.
But when we moved here, I was getting in a lot of trouble. I was with the wrong people in school, and I was getting in a lot of trouble, like police, and then in school.
Yeah.
Like I was reporting to like the principal every Friday. I was getting reports written about me every week because of the crew I was like rolling with at that time.
Yeah.
And to this day, I ran into one last Christmas in the grocery store when I was in London. He seemed to be all right. He had a wife, 2 kids. And then there's another one I stay in touch with on Facebook. He seems to be doing all right. He's single. I'm not really sure what he's doing, but he seems all right.
Yeah.
2 of them are dead.
Wow.
One got shot in a drug thing. The other one overdosed. And that was just kind of who I was with my school crew. When I would go home, and my street friends, it was different, right? We were still going out playing sports. But like even them now, I mean, some of them I don't know where they are. They're not on the street that we grew up on anymore. They've been through their own problems. And then the other ones are still there. They have their kids and they work and they're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do always go back and will forever say moving here was, and if I go back to them, they say the same thing. They're like, you moving
Best thing that happened to you.
was easily
So
the
glad you
best
got
thing that
out.
you ever did.
Wow.
I just don't think, I think I easily would not have applied myself. Like I said, I didn't apply myself here, right? I think I did enough. I mean, I went to school.
You made it.
Yeah, I
You
did a
made
little.
it through the system.
I did a little bit, and fucked
got
around.
through the system.
I fucked around with the system. Yeah. I just don't think I even would have bothered over there.
Yeah.
Because everybody around me didn't. So why?
Do you think you would have fulfilled that soccer dream?
It's hard to say because I think I may have. Because, like I said, if I wasn't at school, I was always playing, right? So I was always playing. And my school friends, they weren't really my friends. They were just so I went to school like 40 minutes away from where I grew up. So it was a very different dynamic. It was also like in a very rough, like even rougher area.
Isn't that fucking weird that you went from England, West London, kind of rough area, slightly dangerous, where some people, the type of thing you hear about inner cities in America, to like whitewash suburbia, gated, almost not gated, but cul-de-sac community. Isn't that fucking wild?
Yeah. That's probably why I didn't know what the hell to do at the beginning, right?
That's like crazy.
Just a weird.
I'm not interested in like how much your parents made, but like I'm just curious in like going from such a culture shock. Is London so much more expensive? Was your dad's job that much more better when he came to America?
Yeah, both different, right? So London definitely expensive as shit. Like it's always gonna be that. Like I said, parents didn't go to school. Longest, shortest story. Dad started at the same company he was with straight out of high school there. Like I said, a lot of people don't go to college from there.
Linear story.
He stayed in the same company. He's working at the same company now.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we came here, we actually lived in Germany for a year and a half in 93. Again, he was transferred there for a job. Same company. I went to international school, all American kids. So I had my exposure of American kids there. But it was different because it was an international school. So everybody was from everywhere.
Right.
But yeah, he got transferred here as this is the head campus of the world for Unisys. So it was significantly different. Also, the cost of living. Especially at that time.
Cheaper here.
Yeah. You're getting a lot more for your
London.
for your buck at that. I mean, more so at that time.
I mean, you hear that now. I just never really thought about it in the sense of like raising a family or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even think about it in London. I think about it in the sense of, going to Paris is expensive. Or,
right.
So yeah, that's wild.
But with that said, it's expensive to live here.
Yes. Right. So that's my whole point, is that it's crazy to think when I think about like Philadelphia, the suburbs. I look at rental and mortgage prices now and I go, wow, that's so fucking crazy. And I don't even feel like it's worth that. And it keeps going up and up and up. And of course, other places in the United States are so much worse. New York. I lived in Connecticut for 2 years. California's bonkers. So, to hear for it to be such an upgrade for you, that's like going from like North Philly.
Yeah.
To Norgwin.
Yeah. It's weird because it is weird because, like I said, I came from somewhere that's expensive to live. And even now going back, it's expensive, but I want to say it, and I don't know if it's correct or not, but it's harder to live here than it is there. And the only reason I'm going to say it is only because of how I know of living there, right? You can like hustle and make a way easier than you can here. I mean, it's just different. I mean, and I think now I get the best of, again, spoiled, lucky, whatever it is, but I get the best of both.
Yeah.
now my vacation is to go see my family, and I get London at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually enjoy going back to that little dumpy, not knowing what's gonna happen. It's like it's cool because like now
I feel like it's like when rappers talk about going back to the hood.
yeah, it's not that extreme. Like I'm not
like when Meek Mill talks about sitting back in her beanie seagulls.
Yeah, I'm still not. I don't have a Bentley taking me anywhere I'm going. It's not.
But you're going back and seeing the old.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and it's different. Like now I go back, they're older, they have kids too, and it's kind of a different vibe. At least on my street, like the area is still what it is, but.
Do you still feel you still have a connection to that specific street you grew up on? Yeah.
Like I'm scared. You got this. That's like my grandparents' house. So like I kind of grew up with them because my parents were always traveling.
That's what I meant. Like you still kind of have like a feeling of ownership there.
So like I always get scared. What happens when they're gone? Because I'd never want to lose the house.
Yeah. So it is. You have a home there.
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to take it's paid off. It's like there's nothing there.
Right.
There's nothing to worry. It's like you need to keep upkeep on it.
Do you think you would ever move back there? No.
I get asked all the time. I would definitely never move back there.
Would you set up a residence to go to just live there?
I said if
back and forth.
I think
depending on what happens with life and family.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to afford where I want to live. I would want to live.
This is where you want to be.
Well, here. If I was going to London, it would have to be Centre City, London, kind of how it is here, right? Which again, then you're looking at stupid prices, not
right,
really,
sure,
literally not really affordable.
Yeah,
as simple as
same thing. Yeah.
If I was ever asked to move there for work for a couple of years, 100%.
Yeah.
Again, has to be in town, like in the city. But now this is home.
Yeah,
without doubt.
That's so cool.
That's still home, but this is
it. That's cool because you really spent half and half.
Yeah, and now I've done more here.
Yeah, I mean now, right at this point now you have, and it's not by much though. You know, you've done what, like maybe 21 here, 22 here.
I did, 14 there, and I'm 35. So
yeah,
so
I'm 21. So that. You know, but I mean, when you got out of college, you kind of go like you were half and half, and you've really.
And I mean, obviously, I owe a ton to my parents in that sense of, first of all, even over there, just allowing me to live that street life a little bit.
Yeah.
In the sense of, I mean, it was also, I should say my grandparents because they were always traveling. So we were just like, yo, we're going out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were kids on the street. Like it was very that sort of, and this is not a neighborhood. Like I'm talking like just a regular street, right? Like row homes and that. And yeah. But then bringing me here and literally doing everything they've done for me and pushing me at the same time.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like the first 6 months and maybe a little hangover. It doesn't sound like it was easy for you.
No, it wasn't. And they know that. I mean,
and you had to lean on your family. It sounds like your brother, your sister, your parents. That's all you really had.
I mean, I don't think I spoke to my dad for like a lot of that 6 months. Like I hated it.
Yeah.
Only because he took me away from the only thing I knew. It had nothing else to do with anything else, right?
It had to be hard for them and
oh yeah,
but at the same time,
but they knew better.
You made it through with their help,
right? And they knew better. Like they had always known this would be a better place for us to grow up in.
Yeah,
I just couldn't see it at that point.
Yeah,
and now I do sometimes laugh at it, and we go back and family comes over here and they're just like, oh, for all of everything I've been through, it does for me go back to high school, obviously, because that's where I met and was able to, I guess, find myself a bit. Because by the time I went to college, I knew who the fuck I was and what I want to do.
That's cool.
And like, there's probably quite a few people out there that probably listen to me or hear me or see my pictures and think I'm a complete dickhead. And you know, they're probably like, oh, yo, he's like uppity, or it could be whatever. And
you think you have a perception?
I don't know. And Brad, I'll be dead serious. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't is because...
But you say that as almost like you've...
No, the reason I say it because I know I've met people on tour, they've spoken to me and then been like, we saw that and that's not who you are.
Oh, okay.
because I've met, and I can say that because I've met new people via my girlfriend and stuff like that, right?
Sure.
Who have no idea who I am,
Yeah.
but are just seen what she had shown via social media.
Right.
No one's ever talked to me until like that. So I don't know if I do or I don't. That again may just be in my head, but
I mean, as far like, listen, this is the podcast where we go, yeah, a little bit of a dickhead. So far from that. So you are one of the, I don't want to say one of the few, but you are 100% so clear in my head, so far from like one of the, I've always felt 100%, even though we never hung in the same circle in any way.
we're gonna go out now though.
We are, yes, I don't know. But like it's never, I've never ever felt any type of dickheadedness or anything like that from
which
you.
I appreciate, obviously.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I definitely, I mean, I think inside of me, I may have
But so I was surprised when you talked about like, you know, that stress you had in high school about who can you invite to your party or who you can't have I was like, wow, that was surprising. That was shocking.
I mean, yeah, that was also just like,
that was like, so I'll be honest, you laid some of that out exactly as I envisioned it. Exactly, that no one, and I haven't talked to anyone from those groups, that group specifically, to put it out as plainly as that.
All right, I will say this so I mean, I spoke to Nelson. Gabriel was like, he loves this too, right? So, which you've seen.
Yeah.
And Nelson today was like, you're the best one that can go and do this because you have a different upbringing, and then you came here, saw us, and you always kind of just say it out straight too. So you have a good story. And
to represent the crew?
Yeah, he did give me that. Because if there wasn't me, I feel like they would all do it too, and they would like to do it.
Yeah,
which is
and I will 100%.
And not even that, but everybody has their own story, right? So
I want you to know, there's no like exclusion. I'm not asking them. No. I just haven't gotten to it.
No. I mean,
you reached out first, and so that's, you know.
Because I think like, if there was another one, unfortunately not here, it would be Evan to get him. And you probably get a lot more lyrics on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he would be another one that would be able to give you, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But a different side of it, kind of where I went, like I said, the story I went through, and then the friendships I got, and I consider them special. That's all it really is for me.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of different stuff, but the one thing that we didn't really talk about at all was the fact that you're Indian.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably more common. I mean, you even talked about just your upbringing being more diverse, but common in England and other parts where British Empire, blah, 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 blah. Yep. I don't know the history exactly.
All the nonsense.
Yeah. But what was that like coming to the United States where you may be British, but in my head, you're an Indian guy to people who don't get to speak to you, know you just from the outside.
Yeah. Like I think I touched on it a little bit before, but I think that was one of the toughest things coming into the area that we were in. I don't think people understood when I spoke with an English accent. That threw a lot of people off.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, there just wasn't a lot of people that looked like me. There weren't a lot of Indian people at Wisconsin at that time, I don't think. And like I did brush on it, and I still remember it. The ones that were there were not very talkative. I know you put Rishi's name out earlier. He was like
Rishi.
He had his own crew, and he was pretty like confident in himself and doing very well now from what I know. But like the other ones didn't really.
It was Indian crew was very academic based.
Yeah.
And I'm not known for social.
Completely the opposite.
Yeah.
So and like I said, they weren't. I mean, they would literally walk by me and be like, "Oh, nope." Yeah, I wasn't academic. And again, it goes back to me trying to find my friends. I grew up a different way, right? So yeah, but I will say, I think then I was like, in a weird way, didn't want to admit I was Indian. I think, I can say that at that point. And be like, nah, I'm English. And even to this day, when someone asks me a question, where are you from? From England. what are you? I'm English. That's where I was born.
Right.
But I'll be like, nah, but like my heritage is Indian.
Are your parents from India?
No.
From England.
My grandparents are from India.
Okay.
My dad was actually born in Africa.
Wow.
He was born in Tanzania.
Wow.
And then my mom was literally born in India and then taken straight to London.
Okay.
Both my parents were moved to England before they could talk, I think. They weren't, yeah.
Because you assimilated with a very white crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, I went to school in London with all black kids.
Right.
I'm not a big, I still don't think I am. I'm not like, I don't, obviously I do, but I don't really see color. It's never been something that has put me off of anybody or thrown me a different way. Or, and it's probably because I'm not white, right? And I've been to different places. I don't like to be looked at how I get looked at some places. So why would I look at someone else that way?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Indian. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It is funny though, because it's progressed here a lot, right? Since when I was there now.
It feels like such a stereotype.
Yeah, which is everything is.
But no one fits a stereotype, but you're so furthest from the stereotype that I think has been, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that took adjusting for people to realize that, right? That was the adjustment.
Yeah.
Not because of what I look like or anything. It was like, oh, he's not what we're used to. Which I can't put blame on anybody for that at that time. I think now, if it was to happen like in present day, I can be like, you're ignorant. Because,
well, I guess what I'm wondering is, were you just like, holy fuck, gas stations and 7-Elevens and, you know what I mean? Like, were you shocked at the portrayal?
Because I've been there before.
Okay.
So that was the norm.
Okay.
And it's sort of the norm there in England too. If you,
it is. Like, so did you grow up with other Indian kids?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you grew up with black kids, but there were, I imagine
so my street
so
was
much more.
The street was more Indian.
Yeah.
Right? Those street kids are all more Indian. School was more black, white.
You were 40 minutes away from home and
different. But it's the same kind of thing if you think, all right, so the whole Indian going to England is obviously because of the war and like the history stuff. But it was the same kind of thing then. Like the first jobs in England was like a corner store or a 7-Eleven or you own a store on the street or that kind of thing. So that whole part of coming here was never.
You expected it. You already knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I've like I said, growing up, I've been a dickhead and like taking in my own thing because I kind of can. But I think we all do it if you're that person. But like, I've gone to a Halloween party, not dressed up, and everyone's like, "What are you?" I was like, "I'm a taxi driver. I don't need to dress up." Like, it's. And they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, you could do that." But that's like now, right?
Yeah.
Like that's now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of goes back to like that and how it's progressed. Like I think in general, there's just more Indian people around now here. At least what we're seeing, I would say, even in the area back at home.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny. Like people always say to me, like, "Oh, I went to an Indian wedding and the thing was ridiculous. Like I loved it. Like there was this many people and like." I think it's also growing up. All it is this because it's the same people that didn't know anything. The one thing I did notice about moving to where we went to school was that like, and more in my group because I don't know about the other people, but they'd never been anywhere. Like they gone to the shore. Like that's where you've traveled to. So
your crew hadn't traveled.
No, they never got like. All right, you might have gone to Florida or the shore, and I'm like, so who the fuck are you to tell me what somebody else or where they're from if you've never gone and done it? And this is within my own crew, right? So this is allowed to be said and open.
Yeah.
I've done it with them. If you've never been anywhere, you can't. And again, we were young kids. So you grow up and you meet people and you do stuff but not a lot of them had been anywhere.
You know what's funny is when you were talking earlier just about what you've done and the crew and my thought, and I was kind of talking about like, upper class, and I just kind of assumed, and a lot of my assumptions about school, going into school, were based off of movies, TV, similar to yours. And so I assumed that, yeah, sure, while there were trips to the beach, I assumed that they were also going on trips to Paris, like Brenda and Donna did.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just assumed that there were international trips with family, and kind of like what you see now with maybe our classmates now, how they, on Facebook, you'll see pictures, they take family now to overseas, and I assume that was what was going on with the upper class.
I kind of think a lot of that is you're seeing it now because they didn't get to experience it. I also think a lot of quite a few people, not just from us, but just people I've met, and definitely a lot younger than all you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my brother's 4 years younger than me, but like than us. But they, I guess it's because of progression, but I feel like they traveled a lot more. Like they went to college and did the travel abroad and like that kind of stuff. Like, all right, Dan Cassidy. Yeah. He traveled abroad. He went and did New Zealand and Australia.
Okay.
But he's one of the very few, in at least my crew, I don't think anybody else did it. But you know what I mean? Like it wasn't until a little later in life where they chose to do it themselves. Yeah. Which is interesting that you say you would think. I would just assume that that's what, and yeah, rich people do. There wasn't many. It's just I still, to this day, like I'm still, the shore is your vacation. Like, come on, man. There's like tons out there. I've never,
like I said, I don't have much travel international. That's like the thing now as an adult that bothers me probably the most is not.
It's just, you can't, it's not easy to do, obviously, right? It takes planning, it takes money and all that kind of stuff. I will just say it's worth it. Yeah. It's just worth spending the money on that.
Where's your favorite place to go in the world?
Where's my favorite place I've been? All right, so you're going to laugh at this. My favorite city in the world today is always going to be New York City. Okay. Forever. I think that's not laughable. I think it's the best city in the world.
I don't agree, but that's not laughable.
London's home and it's the next because it's just different. It's a very different city from anywhere else I've ever been. My favorite place that I've ever been would probably be, it's going to be weird. I say Acapulco. I had a great time there.
Really? That's pretty different.
But there's places that I want to go that I haven't gotten to.
Like where?
So I want to do the Far East.
Japan's my bucket list trip.
Japan, China. I need to get to Australia. Like that's the direction I want to go now. Yeah. Europe. I mean, I've been to Europe.
It's train rides for you.
Yeah, it's fun. I will say I actually love Paris. Okay. I enjoyed Paris a lot as an adult because I'd done Paris as a kid. Didn't really mean anything. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Epcot.
Same, right?
Paris is I feel like there's a little bit of bad stereotype to them.
What do you mean?
They were like actually very, very nice.
What do you think? Like people hate the French? Is that what you mean?
I mean, I don't really like the French, but you know.
Is that what you mean? Like
no, they come across. Everybody says the French are rude.
Oh, I think that's just a European bias in general.
But people here think the French are rude.
Yeah, it's just a European bias. That's what I mean. People are biased towards the European, against Europeans.
The French are sort of rude.
I mean, you know, that's about like the 9/11 thing, and freedom fries, and just bullshit, and people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about just like to say shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and also, you know, the French French is the language of love, and so it's very easy to feminize the French, and so it's easy to just go French.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they are a little stuck up. I will say that, but they were nice. Like people were helpful, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to go to Dubai. I've been to Dubai, but it was just a layover. I've done India. I actually worked in India for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I will say I was on suicide watch for 6 months. Not real suicide, but I was not happy.
No good. No. So let me ask you. I mean, I've heard so much. So I worked in wrestling where When people go to India, it is lookout season for stomach viruses and things like that. How was that for you going there?
So this this may have been where it actually really started.
Yeah.
Because, all right, so in my perspective, 2 ways of India. I'm from the north, a lot more westernized, a lot more going out, cultural, that kind of stuff, right? I was in South India, which is still very, not now, but you know what I mean? Like, they're still very old.
Local.
Yeah. Traditional, that kind of stuff. So when I was down there, and obviously they know I came from here. Again, you're different. You're not really like Indian, whatever you want to call it. So that it was tough. Like, I was the youngest person there. I was 20. This is right out of school, first job out of school. So I'm like there by myself, and yeah, just miserable. What I did take away from it was the experience of like seeing what I saw, as far as like how I got to work and what I witnessed and how people live, and like the slums that you really go through, like slums.
Yeah.
And these people are smiling every day.
Yeah.
And like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That definitely hit me in like, holy shit.
Can I tell you, those are the things that interest me way more than like going to see a tower or a mountain. Seeing life, culture, real world, how it exists, and just soaking it in and learning it.
Like, yeah, I mean, that hit. Like, yeah, you're here alone, but you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, that was like real life. So yeah, I mean, India's done. I'd go back. I would take people back, or like go.
But you were saying that's when you thought your stomach issue started?
Yeah, so I definitely did get the deli belly, right? So I think it came from a salad. But I was at a hotel where you would think so you obviously have to watch your water. You can't do like some stuff. Didn't even think about it. I think it was from a salad. Must have been washed in the water.
Right, I was gonna say washing the salad.
And yeah, that thing is no joke. That thing will kill you for like 3 days easy. So I did that, and I was out for like 4 days.
Wow.
And I don't think I ever recovered. And I actually never thought of it, right? Because then I came back, moved to New York, and I was like partying, like doing whatever.
But that's when it exasperated.
It was my aunt that brought it up, and she was like, "I think you got sick in India."
Yes.
And I was like, I never even put 2 and 2 together. I just thought this is the normal thing that happens at one point when you're here.
I don't even know what it is, but do you have dysentery?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds like you could have it.
So maybe that was it. But
wow.
back to the traveling bit is like, yeah, I want to go that way.
That's cool.
It's just like I said, if you ever like, I know people like doubt. They're like, why do I need to go there if I can go right here? It's just like,
because
just bang it out, man. It's different.
It's different.
Just go live it up.
It's different. Yeah, man. I took Japanese. We talked about it a few times on some podcast episodes. I took Japanese for 3 years, and in Japan, wrestling is like huge. Right. It's like a legit sport there. So it's been my dream to go see some Japanese matches in wrestling, or some wrestling matches in Japan, and just live the culture, eat some food, go to the steakhouse, maybe a little karaoke. I just want to immerse myself in the culture, and I would love to travel outside to other areas of Asia, China, Vietnam, Korea. I'd love to check it kind of all out.
Yeah, I mean, you should do it. It's funny that you go back to wrestling, and like I said, I
saw you at a wrestling show.
So that's another thing that was really big in England, right? So we grew up. WWF was at that point beyond huge. It was like
growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
So this is what, 94, 3, 2?
94.
94. Can I ask you? Okay, so this is super nerdy. This may not even make the pot. I may make this as like a separate clip. Were you Were you in on Wembley Stadium, SummerSlam 92?
Yes, I was there.
Bret Hart versus... No fucking way!
I was there.
Yo, dude. All right. Now we're getting super nerdy.
I was there. Me and my
You
brother.
were at Wembley, Bret versus Davey?
Yep. Me, my brother, my cousin, and my uncle. My dad's brother took us.
Put that mic in front of you.
Yes, I was there.
You were there. That's awesome.
Yep. Me, my brother, my cousin, and my dad's brother. He took us. Yeah, I remember it like back of my hand. Still mad that Ultimate Warrior didn't win.
Yes, the Macho Man versus the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
And who was on Ric Flair's side? That was the storyline going into that show.
Yeah. And then
was Bulldog like a big thing? Was that like a big thing for you?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his wife.
But the storyline was like, I mean, we're kids then, so you're like, you're in it, and you're just like, you're ruining a family and like all this stupid shit. Like,
Thanksgiving was a mess.
Yeah, straight nerd shit. Like
Yes. Christmas was ruined in Calgary for the Hearts because they were just it was a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there.
Oh my god, that's so awesome. You're the only person I've ever met that was like that was there, that wasn't working there. Like as a fan, that's so awesome.
I was there, and I'm still annoyed with it because I remember calling for my uncle calling for the tickets because my grandfather said he would buy them for us. So we're like, all right, we need 4 tickets. We get them. I mean, we're like nosebleeds, right? We're way up there. The row behind us, the 2 rows behind us, so the last 2 rows, they get taken down to like the 11th row. But and we were like, they're like, no, we're only getting this row. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh.
But yeah, I forget what you just said something about before with the rest. That was the one thing that did keep me going in India. I had 2 things that were running in English when I was there: Friends and wrestling.
What year was this?
This would have been 2008.
That's when I was there.
2008.
That's when I was writing SmackDown. Great
2008.
Khali.
Yeah.
Great
2008.
Khali. Yeah, dude, I was writing.
You know what's actually pretty funny now? Because I know my brother listens to this.
Yeah.
We would sit there and I made him watch it. And this is like more recent, but they were like, oh, I was like, all right, I can tell you everything that's going to happen. It's funny that you say you write it because I'm like, I could have written this shit. Because I would say something. They were like, oh, you should just write it. And I'm like, well, now I know. You were probably writing it. So it makes more sense to me now.
0809, I was writing SmackDown. Absolutely. Writing those shows.
I can't say I still watch it. It's just
I don't watch it. No, I don't.
Doesn't appeal to me anymore.
It's always going to be a part of me culture-wise.
I keep up on it.
So yeah, I keep up. I am infatuated with the business.
Well, that's what I mean. I think I've been doing it since literally I was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally been watching it. So they're still my kids' superheroes in a way.
Mm-hmm.
One of those kind of things. Yep. I know it's not real. I know it's not that. I don't need anybody else to understand it, but that's just one of my own things that I don't need to have anybody else do.
It's what you grew up idolizing.
Yeah,
or,
it's just one of those things. And now I get more annoyed actually when I hear or look at it, and I'm like, I feel like you guys are taking away from what it was. Like it's a little
very theatrical.
I also think like there's nothing to relate to anymore. Like the characters they had at one point were
and Attitude Era.
Well, our high school era,
people
that never watched wrestling, it was so easy to get into. You had Stone Cold, you had your Rocks, you had all of them.
DX.
Anybody could watch it.
Yep. Cool guys. Cool characters. And now it's very much like I'm a wrestler. And that's when I was there, I had a hard time acclimating to that culture of we are wrestlers versus, just we're personalities.
Right. Like, are we making a show or are we doing wrestling now? Like, pick your angle because now you're confused.
Is there anything that like you wanted to? So you hit me up like a couple weeks ago and like, hey, I'd be down to do something. Was there anything like specific that you were hoping to get into, or you just wanted to do it?
No, I enjoyed the podcast, and it was kind of just like, I think I have a good story, but maybe you want to put me on air or something.
Do you remember me asking you to do the podcast?
Yeah.
You do remember?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I asked you to do it.
That was why.
Yeah.
I
asked you to do it. You were the second, not second person, but after I'd done the first interview.
Yeah, I do remember.
I asked you the very next day or 2 days after I'd done like Clyburn.
Yeah.
I saw you in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said it. I was lit though.
Oh, so was I. And I didn't even know how to sell it. And it wasn't out.
It was when I introduced my girlfriend.
Yes.
Because she even remembered. And that was kind of where we left there. Because I was like, oh, this is Brad. He went to school with me. And you like put your hand out and she gave you a hug instead.
Yes.
I still remember. She's like, nah, we're giving a hug. You're
Yes.
his friend.
Yeah.
So then when we left, I was like, that's my friend. And she was like, well, how come I don't know him? I was like, you just gave him a hug because you said he was my friend. So where are we going? I was like, yeah, that's my friend. I do remember it. It was off. That's what I meant. And then that's why I was like, oh, let's do this thing.
Yes. Yes. So we started getting I started doing more and more interviews start happening. And I was like, I felt like I needed it to be more than it was before I reached back out again. Cause I felt almost like, I felt like it was like an empty, not an empty promise, but an empty invite of like, oh, I've got these 2 episodes now that are out. Like, come on, and you know what I mean. Right. So like,
I got you.
I'm thankful that you.
I think it was a good time.
It was fun,
especially like listening to other ones and then seeing like where everybody came from, and then I don't know.
So you had the benefit now. At that time, you wouldn't have heard any episodes, so you wouldn't have had any clue what to expect in any way. Agreed. At that point, that was back in May.
Yeah, I think, and then obviously just listen to it. I think Jason's one helped me a bit because not helped me, but he was like, he must have said so many times where he was just like, I think I'm rambling. But we're just shooting shit, right? And I was like, I mean, this is kind of what it is. It's
yeah. That's what a podcast is, and
you gotta keep it going. It's quality, man.
Thanks, man. Man, that makes me so happy.
It's really good.
Well, then you know what the last thing.
The last thing was, and I'm gonna say this before.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked in there and made sure I didn't sign it?
I haven't.
Because there's a weird thing in my head that thinks I've already signed your yearbook.
Okay.
So that was going to be me calling you out now this time. This is my question to you.
Let's see here. I've never told anyone who's actually in this book. George Barreca's in here. Paul Gallardi. Eric Busick. Katie Evelyn. Bethany. Ellen. Justin Duffner.
I would have done it on. Yeah, I would have done it on the back.
On the back?
I just know how I am. So.
Lauren Cook. Brandon Deese. All right, the last page. This is it, man. I don't think so.
All right.
Hank Jones, Ryan Conway, John Drexler.
Shit, there was a little bit of me that literally thought I would have, but I couldn't tell you where it was or what, you know.
I don't think you did. Most of my memories of you are when you first came in, and then afterwards it's not anything negative, but
I think we just kind of like passed by each other, right?
Yeah, and I could totally see myself not but I could totally see myself not asking you to sign it. Any of these pens that you see fit, anyone. We'll see, whatever one works will be the one. When you look at your quote, you had 1 million initials in there. I was able to name many of them.
Yeah, I can still tell you who they are. P. Sempone, Cassidy, Nelson, Malhorn, Gabbert, Keenan, Corey.
That's one I didn't know.
Natalie Kuhner.
That's one I didn't know.
She used to drive me to school all the time. So. Rachel Weiss, Chris McQuaid, Andy Black.
There you go. All still in the crew.
Same crew. The only people that wouldn't be in here would be Kevin Rogers, which is weird, and Evan. But then they make us write these in our start of junior year or some shit.
Yeah. You had to write, I think, the year before.
Right, early.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Yeah.
I think you take the picture of the year before.
I was still like building them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're pretty much all there still.
That's awesome.
I'm glad I mentioned my mom and dad and my sister.
What a great time this has been.
No, it's been great.
Thank you
for having me, obviously.
Oh man, thanks for reaching out and coming. And now that we both know where we are, we gotta do this more often. We'll city together.
Well, now we're friends from high school, moving forward now, right?
Yes. So, now we are friends after high school.
There you go.
All right. That was Phanda, and just a lot of fun. great time hanging out, and just a different perspective. I appreciate Amma being just candid about his experience, and I don't know. I don't know if it makes me feel justified to hear him talk about, the cool kids or the popular crowd, in kind of somewhat of the light as I saw things. But I appreciate all the stories that he had, just, about international travel, and that's something that hopefully over the next year or so, maybe I'll have some new fun stories of getting to go abroad and expand my life here, as Amma has. In 2 weeks, my guest will be Rachel Kim. Rachel Kim did not actually graduate with us in Wissahickon. We're going to hear her story, which I've got to be honest, I didn't know anything about. And Rachel is one of the better friends that I had after college. Very randomly, Rachel and I started hanging out in my late 20s. We both lived in Philadelphia, and she would just come over and hang out at my apartment with me and my friends and my roommates. And then I just kind of lost touch with Rachel. And so this was the first time I've really seen Rachel or talked to Rachel in, I don't know, probably 5 years or so, maybe even more. And so I was excited to talk about high school, because Rachel was actually one of the first people that I would say, I can't believe we're hanging out, because we never hung out in high school. And now here we are just randomly hanging out. And that was something that, even when I was 29, that was such a weird concept to me. And so we will talk about that in addition to just Rachel's whole life. One thing I do want to say is that if you follow Rachel on social media, you may have seen her post some things on Instagram just about her health. And one thing that I don't want this podcast to be is to string along serious issues and use people's health to promote the podcast or anything like that. Rachel is okay. She is fine. And she will give the update of just, what she was going through on the podcast, but she's not in any danger. And I just want to make that clear for everyone. This is not a podcast where I want people to tune in to find out how she's doing. Rachel is good. Okay. And so I just wanted to get that out there before 2 weeks comes by and people are just concerned about Rachel's condition. She's A-okay. And so she will talk about, what she was going through and how important it is for preventative care and making sure that, especially as a woman, that you are doing the things that you need to do. I'm not the one to speak on it, so I will let her talk about it in her words in 2 weeks when she joins me on the podcast. We Weren't Friends in High School is the Instagram. WWF in High School is the Twitter. And I am at REDSHIRTPLAYA. And I guess that is about it. Thank you to Amar, and thank you to everyone that is following, listening, and subscribing. Rate, subscribe, share, all those podcast things. It helps. So I guess that is it. I always feel like I'm forgetting something that I want to say after the fact, but you guys will just have to come back in 2 weeks, and maybe I will remember to say it then. Okay, see you guys then in 2 weeks with my guest, Rachel Kim.